Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, of course, introductory class. So, in the sense, the first session, so a little bit of introduction and all that will happen. Till then, I'm sure the rest of the participants would join in. So, but I don't want to waste the time of people who are on time. For people who choose to come a little late, it's fine. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first class of commercial and shipping law. Uh,
Good morning, ma'am.
yes, now what happens is, although this is the first class, but since there are only 6 lectures that we have, everything is going to be so much rushed that there is not going to be any time for me to take your introductions, okay? I may give you a little brief about myself, but taking your introduction where there's a class of about 100 students will not be possible because one whole lecture may not be enough for that. But I would still want to know you all. So my request is we have this privilege of the chat box here. So I would just request each one of you, whenever you find the time in this 3 hours of lecture, I'm not asking you to get distracted for that. Whenever you feel the time, you can please write your name. If you're a fresher, just graduated and coming and doing this course, request you to please, Madam, hota hai recording. So I would request you to write your name and the previous degree that you have, done and now you have come. If you're working, I would like you to, mention the name of the company that you're working for, your designation, and the number of years of experience that you have.
Okay.
I would assume that as an introduction. And then, yes, I'm sure in the six lectures that we are going to have from today onwards, we will try to make it interactive, but for that I will need your support and your cooperation, because merely me saying I will make it interactive, I will ask you questions, I will ask you all to give examples, but if I don't get a response, then it cannot be interactive. But nevertheless, I know that this online thing, sometimes people are not comfortable. So even when I ask a question, or when I request you to give in any example or anything like that, if you don't want to talk, we still have the privilege of the chat box, which we can see. Or if you have any questions, you can always put it on the chat box and I can address it as and when. Now, what happens is in a live class, you just raise your hand up and you ask your question, and that gets solved. Now, here what happens is I have to keep going to the chat box again. So that distracts me also sometimes. Honestly speaking, I wouldn't say that I am zero at technology, but sometimes that switching between the lecture that is happening and then going to the chat box and all, sometimes it becomes a little distracting to me also, and a little difficult to me also. So the response time in answering your question may be a little late. Please cooperate and bear with me for that. Having said that, let me come back to our subject, commercial and shipping law. Uh, 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 Anybody who's done commerce uh, would have anybody who's also done their MBA otherwise or something. Anybody who's done their law, of course, would have got the flavor of this subject, commercial law. Shipping law, of course, would people would not have the flavor, because if you're not working for shipping, you may not have the flavor of that. But commercial law, if you have done your BCom, you would have definitely got the flavor of commercial law. Now, at any point in time, if you were petrified, if you had gotten scared of this subject law, I would request all of you all to please remove that from your minds, because there's nothing to worry about. We are not training you to become lawyers. We are training you to only uh, understand the concepts. Can I request people who are unmuted to please go on mute? So we are not training you to become lawyers, as I said. We are training you to understand the concepts, because when you are going to work, and primarily I don't even expect about 99% of the people in this room to work for the legal department. Yet there could be about 1% or 2% of people who may be assumed into the legal department, but otherwise, most of you are going to be in other departments. Why we study the subject law is because you need to understand some do's and don'ts, when you are functioning. The legal landscape, the legal environment is something that is very, very essential to be kept in mind in order to operate, in order to function in any field. So if you go for any management courses, you will have this subject called commercial law. They will call it by different names. Some would say commercial law, some would say business law. There would be different names to it, but yes, by and large, legal studies is something that you have to do. So when I say you need not be scared, first and foremost, people are often scared about the fact that, oh my God, if it is law, we will need to know sections. I don't expect any of you to even memorize a single section when we are doing commercial and shipping law. I don't know if there would be other faculties, how they would be treating this subject. But according to me, uh, I don't think that, knowing this section is important. Because like I said, I want you to know the concepts. I want you to understand the concepts and not, the nitty-gritties of subjects and all that, of sections and all that. So if you have that fear in mind, please, in the first lecture itself, I'm saying to just get out of that fear. Don't stay into that thing of, and wherever we want you to know the sections, believe me, in the examinations, we will, in the question itself, there would be the section mentioned. So, for instance, defined consideration under section so and so of the Indian Contracts Act, or that kind of a thing we will be doing. So don't worry about, if you have that fear in mind, request you to kindly get out of that fear. Yes, concepts, definitions, sometimes mainly definitions is something that we expect you to know, because the definition cannot change. When we are doing any subjects, you would have had definitions in science, you would have had definitions in uh, mainly in science, and legal is also, it's a legal science basically. So there would be some definitions which you would be expected to know by heart, but they're very few. Believe me, they're very few. So that's about it. So you don't have to. You need not worry about that either. So request you to kindly get out of that, phobia. In case if you have, if you don't have, I'm really happy. And a lot of theory, a lot of subjectivity in this. So sometimes people who are not very happy with theory may feel a little, bogged down by this entire thing. You may feel a little overwhelmed that, oh my God, how are we going to study? But believe me, it is going to be simple. uh, I have been teaching law since 2004 now, and people have been able to manage. Not 2004 in your institute, but 2004 across institutes. In your institute, yours is the third batch or the fourth batch, third or the fourth batch that I am teaching commercial and shipping law. So, yes, and so welcome all of you all to this wonderful program of PGTM in shipping management. And I'm sure you all are going to really, really gain a lot of value addition is going to happen for two reasons. One is that because you're going to now sort of scientifically study the entire operations of shipping management through this course of 2 years, and course of 2 years is not really a small thing. So I would request all of you all to to take in as much as you can. Just take in as much as you can, so that you are able to comprehend it when you are doing your operations, when you're working for shipping and when you're doing your operations. Secondly, it is going to add a lot of value to you because you're going to have so many colleagues. Yes, there is a disadvantage that this is not going to be a physical class. So that mingling around in the little breaks that you all get, that mingling around when you come early to the class, that mingling around while you get to know that, oh, somebody else also lives very close to where I live. So then going back together, that may not happen, but I'm sure you all will find ways to know each other. And what happens typically is for professional courses, that is something I always tell everybody. I also teach HR and other general management subjects. In fact, my core is HR. But of course, I have a law background. I have taught law. I have studied law. So I have worked law. So I have a law background. But HR is my core, and it's very close to my heart also. So that's why. So whenever I teach for any MBA classes, the first thing I tell everybody is that no matter what differences you may be having in class, no matter whether you like somebody or you don't like somebody, it is very important to be networked when you are moving forward in your career. And when you have to be networked, you have this entire association of about 100 students in your class. Who else would be a better option to network? So I think you have this opportunity which you should encash. So on both the fronts, I believe you are in a good position that you have enrolled for this course. If you can just, somebody can put in the chat, or somebody can just unmute yourself and tell me when has the course started for you, and how many lectures before this have you actually gone through. One of you can just unmute yourself and let me know that.
Ma'am, this is the first lecture.
Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah.
A lot of challenge for me then. This is your
Good
first
morning, madam.
lecture.
This is the first lecture for me as well.
So for all of you all, right? So it's the first lecture of the syllabus.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Now that
Yes,
puts
ma'am.
me into, yes. Thank you so much,
Yes, ma'am.
everyone.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
puts me into a little bit of never mind. So let us begin with on a very good note that we are going to make this 2 years so much successful for us in our lives, that we're going to take away a lot of things from this course, and we are going to grow and soar higher and higher and higher in our professions, in whatever we want to do. Sometimes it also happens. This is particularly for the freshers. I'm saying that it may so happen that you have come to do this course because you just sort of evaluating. You are just sort of studying that what exactly is going to be right to you. You may do this course and then you may decide that I don't think shipping is for me. Even if you decide that, let me tell you, and I'm sure 15 years from today, as that is how I talk to my kids also. So I'm sure most of you all are going to be of that age. So I don't mind saying that. 15 years from today, you will say, yes, there was this one lady who said this to us at that time, that even if you don't choose to do shipping, this course in particular is not going to go waste. Every day you do anything that you do, you learn so much from it. Keep the learning attitude and you're going to do fantastically well. Whether you continue in shipping or you divert, so many times people have been in a particular field for about 10 years, 15 years, into shipping, and now they want to do something else. Somebody wants to go into education, somebody wants to go into you know any other field of life in line. So don't worry, this is not going to go a waste. Let us keep the learning hat on, let us keep the learning attitude on, and let us only have one motto in life. Yes, we are going to do it. We're going to do very well. On that note, I will share the screen and we will discuss about the syllabus first, and then we will take it forward. Whatever small notes you all want to make, you all make. I will also request one of you all to please, make a note on where we have stopped the class, because typically what happens in these lectures is I'm having a class today, and my next class, if I have seen the timetable that has come to me, is in August. So, and I also teach at other institutes and all that. So suddenly it just skips out of mind. Of course, when I come back to the class, I it sort of comes back. That's my experience in the past 2-3 years of teaching that I have done with NMIS. But it sometimes skips my mind. Where is it that we had closed? Now repeating, I don't mind, but we don't have that much of time, honestly speaking. When I speak about commercial law, I have done commercial law, one topic, that is the Indian Contract Act that we're going to talk about in the entire year when I was doing my law. Okay. So this, and also when I did my MBA, when I did commercial law, we used to call it business law, and it did not have shipping law. It was only business law. So what we have done, and maybe one or two acts more. When I did that for 6 months, where I had 30 classes of 3 hours. Okay, 30 classes of 6 hours of 3 hours against 6 classes of 3 hours. So that is the model. That is the model that we have all chosen. So now we cannot say that, this is too fast and this is something. So we are going to cover everything in a gist. Then there is the book that you have been given, which you have to, and I will really, of course, we will be discussing examinations in detail towards the end of the syllabus, or also if you want in between. But I will not insist upon, you going and hunting for books, typically in this environment where you're not even allowed to step out of the house. Whatever you have, I don't know whether you'll have this, but whatever you have in this is good enough. You have the slides with you all over here, so that is also going to be shared with you all. So that is there. This is there. Anywhere, if I feel that, I need to add something, maybe I will just add on and give it to you all. So I think all this is good enough. Don't get too much bogged down and troubled. Okay. So we want to go very fast. And let us have a look now at the syllabus, so that I explain to you what exactly is going to happen in the next 6 classes. Can you all see the screen, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. So now, yes, I have to change that to 21-22, which I will do later. This is the content of our syllabus. Okay. I will go one by one, so that we are slightly on the, having that level of understanding what is going to happen exactly. So this entire syllabus is divided into two. So first, if you see, the first 6 chapters comprises of commercial law, and the next around 12 chapters or so comprises of the shipping laws. Okay. If you look at your book will consist of roughly around 60% pages of the commercial law and 40% pages of the shipping law. Okay. Now, you're going to do law in 2 years, first year and second year. Why I'm saying this is because you will say that we are doing a course in shipping and we are not getting enough in shipping, and what is all this commercial law about? We are not interested. And shipping with only, ma'am is saying only 40% or so, and rest is commercial law. Don't worry. Next whole year, you're going to do the law of sea transport. Okay, so don't worry. This class would be the introduction. And this class, what we're going to learn is also going to be on the lines of commercialness in shipping. Okay, on the lines. I'm not saying completely, but commercial things you would see in this particular syllabus also. Okay. So if the syllabus, even if the chapters consist of, of 40% and 60% is uh, shipping, but if the content of that 40% is 60% of the entire syllabus, then in your examination, roughly for you to estimate, you will be having about 50% of commercial law and 50% of shipping law to answer. I'm giving you all this perspective today because I know there are some enthusiastic students who would want to start studying or, at least going through, making notes. Some of them are meticulous, unlike me, who used to be a last time, the last time or whatever you say. I was just in time for my examination. Kal paper hai to aaj padna hai bas. That was it. But anyway, having said that, if people are that way, so that is the reason why I'm saying I'm giving a perspective that even if it looks like 6, and then that and then then we can leave that for option of we will see. I will also be marking you all the important questions and all that. Don't worry about that. But that will be towards the end of the syllabus, not now. Absolutely. Okay. So we will commercial law we will be doing the law of contract. That is, there is this entire and a huge act known as the Indian Contracts Act. So when we speak about the law of contract, we are actually going to do the Indian Contracts Act. In the Indian Contracts Act, there is about contract in general, which we will be seeing in the law of contract, and then the Indian Contract Act comprises of special contracts. Okay, so the special contracts are contracts in serial number 2, 3, and 4. That is the contract of indemnity, contract of guarantee, contract of bailment and pledge. These are the 3 special contracts which are also a part of the Indian Contract Act. Okay. And contract of agency also. Sorry, I forgot that. 5. So indemnity, guarantee, bailment, pledge, and agency. These are 5 special contracts that we are going to speak about. When we are going to do this contracts, we will see that they are a contract, so they will have all essentials of a valid contract, but they will also have some special features, and that's the reason why they are categorized as special contracts. Okay. Then you have the Sale of Goods Act, okay, and that is where your commercial law ends. Now, when I say commercial law ends and I'm bifurcating it into commercial law and shipping law and all of that, remember that shipping is a commercial activity also, and hence all these things, all these 6 chapters that we spoke about from commercial law will be used in shipping also. So when we are going to do about the contract, I'm going to make the statement, but I'll make the statement again here first, and then I'll make it again over there. Until everything is fine and going on smoothly, you don't require law at all. Everything is happening. There's an agreement between 2 parties, or if I should call it in the parlance of legal language, there is a contract between the 2 parties. Both the parties are happily performing their duties. They're doing everything that is required in order to be legally compliant. Until then, none of these laws are required. You don't even have to look at them. Nothing is required. But the moment something goes wrong, the moment one party becomes dissatisfied, the moment one party stops complying or adhering to what is agreed upon, that is where this entire thing of law comes into picture. Okay? Until someone has come and robbed you, or until someone has come and done something wrong to you, would you really want to go to the police station? Or would you really want to go and tap or knock at the doors of the courts? Nobody would. I come from a legal background. I come from the family of lawyers, yet I would not want to go there. So all this only comes into picture when things go wrong. And commercial activities, stakes are very high. It is not that the examples, this is very funny, but the examples that we are going to do when we are doing the commercial law typically are going to be all about a horse and a dog and a car, and and you will wonder, ye ek gaadi ke liye, ek dog ke liye, ek kutte ke liye itna bada law. But no, sorry, in between I just switch over to Hindi, just please, because वो bearing आने के लिए कभी-कभी वो थोड़ा करना पड़ता है. But that's all right, and to break the monotony also. But these examples that I will be giving about a car or a dog or a horse is just for you to understand the concept. So for a dog or a horse or a car, it would be, you will be playing in some thousands, at the most a couple of lakhs which is also less than, in one a digit lakh number, you can say that is 1 lakh or 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs. But commercial stakes, sometimes they are in crores. And even if a small thing goes wrong, there's a loss of crores of rupees, and that's the reason why people need to tap the judicial system. And at that point of time, you need to understand what are the things that can be done, should have been done, and what are the legal implications that we may have to face if we have not done something right.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, who's this? Can
Ma'am,
you give me your name? Yeah.
Yes, Sajal Kumar. My name is Sajal Kumar, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. After seeing all this content, there are so many laws which are which are made in 1917, 1908.
We will come to that. We will come to that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, we will come to that. Okay, you complete your question. But
so,
we will be
ma'am,
coming to that. Yeah.
are you sure that all these laws which were made on 1908, 1925, are really applicable till now? Because today's
Are they
scenario
relevant is your question, correct?
yeah. Are they relevant?
Okay. So
And
what
it is
happens?
from it is from foreign. I think England law when foreigners were ruling in our country, and they have made all these things according to their convenience. But still, we are puzzling with all these outdated times law, and even our government is not taking initiative in order to make some updation, or you can say, so that we can ease our doing business in order to make
What
things.
is your background, sir? If I may ask you, are you working for the shipping industry or?
Ma'am, I am working with one of the reputed logistic company, and
Okay.
I have
And
I have
yeah.
done my executive MBA from Sri Balaji University, Pune.
Okay.
And because of my interest in international trade and shipping, I have come to join this particular course.
Good. I'm glad to know that. But then I think, you are missing on one point, and that is, yes, I do agree. I completely agree. And when we are going to do that, I would be also mentioning this 1,000 times that, the acts have been formulated at that time, and they were, one thing I would like to not really disagree, but when we say that they were done as per their convenience, it may not be true that they were done as per their convenience completely, but they were done as per the scenario of that time, is for sure. It's definitely there, and that scenario could have changed a little bit, but it has not changed drastically so much. That is when you speak about what is an agreement. An agreement is something that has been agreed between the two parties, which that holded good at that time and is going to hold good even today. Okay. Having said all of this, when you speak about an act, Sale of Goods Act 1930, this is going to remain Sale of Goods Act 1930, but it would be having amendments that have been incorporated in between. Now I will say we don't have the time to get into all that because we are not studying law to become lawyers. But there are a lot of amendments in each of the act that keeps coming, and that is the reason why everybody, the lawyers specifically, the lawyer fraternity, when it comes to law, they need to be current, updated as to what is the amendment that has come, what are the changes that are made. The year of the act may remain the same. Now there are, if there are major changes, then the acts have also changed, their course from whatever date they were to whatever date they have come. That has also happened. But most of the time, people don't, or from wherever this law come, because law, it is first a brainstorming by people like you and me will happen, and then that brainstorming will go to, it will go to the concerned. So for shipping, it will go to the shipping industry, where people from the shipping industry, ministry, sorry, not industry, where people from the shipping industry will first brainstorm. It will go to the shipping industry, ministry, shipping ministry people will come together. They will formulate something. Then there will be, there will be a sort of a draft bill that will be passed in one of the one of the houses, that is the Rajya Sabha, and then it will go to the Lok Sabha, and then it will go to the president, and then that bill will become an act. All that is there. I'm not getting into that because we really don't have the time to get into that. But when all this happens, after that, that the name of the act often remains the same, but there are amendments that keep happening. And in shipping, typically, when you speak about shipping, most of the acts that have not come up randomly. Most of the acts that have come up through certain conventions that happen. Conventions are nothing, again, they are sort of round table conferences, or they are brainstorming sessions where people from multiple countries come together, because shipping is an international business. The ship sails from India. It may sail for a couple of days within India, but most of the time, when you speak about the shipping business, it's about international trade. Correct. So it goes into multiple countries and multiple. So everybody needs to be on the same page when it comes to that, and that is the reason why these brainstormings that happen when it comes to shipping, they happen on international levels, and then there are conventions, and from that conventions, pointers are taken, and based on those pointers, then certain rules are formulated, and then the countries who have attended the conventions, they agree that we are going to abide by these rules and regulations. And that is also the way somehow these acts gets formulated. Sometimes there's no act, there's just a convention, and based on the convention there are some rules and regulations that you have to learn, and that you have to, that more than learning, that is what you have to actually put into practice in your day-to-day shipping business. Okay, so that is how it happens. I can see a hand raised, Sanjeev. If you can quickly unmute yourself and ask the question if there is one. Otherwise, put it in the chat because.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, yes, good
मैम ये
morning.
जो हमें बुक मिली है ना स्टडी मटेरियल, उस पे ऐसा मेंशन है फर्स्ट ईयर 2019, लेकिन जो आपने शेयर की थी स्क्रीन तो उस पे 2021 था, और ये जो कंटेंट्स हैं वो भी थोड़े मतलब ऑलमोस्ट मतलब टॉपिक तो सेम ही है, लेकिन सीरियल वाइज वो सब अलग अलग है. मतलब
सीरीज वाइज अलग अलग कैसे हो सकते हैं? I have the same book 2019. This is the book that I showed you. 19, and my presentation, like I said, it should have been 2021 because I'm doing it for the 2021 batch. So don't worry about all those things. It's all similar. I cannot change the law and put something else on the screen. So don't worry about all of that. That is in sync. It is in sync with everything, and I'm sure also the topics are. Yes, you have, because see what they have done is when they have said chapter 1 and when they have said law of contract, they have explained all the, they have put all the points in that chapter 1. So what is contract and all? I'm not going to put all of that in this is a PowerPoint presentation, which is a PowerPoint presentation. First and the foremost, let us get it very clear, is just in case to show you, pointers. Honestly speaking, until the time I was doing offline or, connect classes, physical classes, I never had a concept of PowerPoint presentation in my class. Because I don't believe in PowerPoint presentations. We have done this. I find it absolutely redundant because what happens with a PowerPoint presentation is that people are only focused on reading what is written over there, and what has been spoken goes in vain. But since this is not a connect class, I can't really, I have this habit of writing on the board and then, talking about it, but we cannot do that, and that's the reason why this is there. So don't worry. Ultimately, you will have to look at your this book is going to be your Bible, and no matter how much ever everybody decides that we are going to look for textbooks and all of that, but ultimately when it comes to examination, this is a book all of us are going to refer to, and it is enough to refer to also. So just don't get bogged down about these things. This is the third batch that I am teaching. So I have not taught anything out of the syllabus, and whatever is going to be in the syllabus, I will be covering it. But yeah, so let us continue with what we're going to do. So like I said, so the first 6 chapters are completely your commercial law, and then from the 7th chapter, your shipping law comes into picture. Okay. Is Irfan sir around or Harshada madam? If there is a provision to mute everybody. Okay. Yes. So then we start with with our shipping law, that is, introduction to Indian COXA, that is Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. Mainly when we are going to speak, or in the next year, when you are going to do your sea transport law, sea transport. I am not teaching that subject, there's somebody else who's handling, who would know about that next year, of course. So, mainly in that, it's all about transport, because when you speak about sea or, shipping, shipping is a mode of transport, correct? So what you need to understand in shipping is also mainly about transport. So you will see, Carriage of Goods by Sea Act. That is something that we will be discussing. Then you have the Indian Ports Act, because ports is the place where the ships come and park themselves, and from there all the shipping operations actually take place, loading and unloading of cargo, and those activities, or loading and unloading of people. All that Loading and unloading of people is the wrong word, I understand. Embarkment and disembarkment of people is the right word. So that all happens on the port. So then there is this Indian Ports Act. Then there is Major Port Trust Act, because when we are doing that, we will see how it's different. What is the Indian Ports Act and what is the Major Ports Act? What is the difference between the two, that we will be seeing. Health regulation, very important, because when people are traveling from one country to another, uh, in the previous years, until last 2 years, we used to hear about yellow fever and vaccination for yellow fever to be taken when people are, shuttling between countries. And but now with this current pandemic, we all know how important health and health regulation is when you are going to travel from one country to another country. So health and health regulation is a very important chapter in shipping. Lighthouse, something that actually guides the vessels when they are selling. So the Lighthouse Act is also a very important act that is there. The Indian Vessels Act, it speaks about what are the kind of vessels that are allowed to ferry. It speaks about their registration. It speaks about, if there is any calamity that happens, how one is going to handle that. So that's about the Inland Vessels Act. Then you have Maritime Lien. Lien basically, to explain in a very very simple terms or words, uh, when you are buying a house, you have to, and you're taking loan from the bank. What happens is that house actually remains mortgaged with the bank, right? The house remains mortgaged with the bank, and the bank creates a lien on that house. What is the meaning of the lien? Therefore, the meaning is that the bank has the first right on the house in case if I don't pay all the money. If I don't pay give me one moment. Just give me one moment. There's this mosquito thing. What is it? What are they doing here? Anyways, so the bank will first mark a lien, and the bank will have the first right over the house, because the bank has actually paid the money, right? You have not paid the money. Until you pay all the money back to the bank, it is the bank who is actually the owner of that property. So that is about lien. We will see what maritime lien is about when we do it. Arbitration and alternative dispute resolution methods. So law, we all know that the courts are famous to have matters going on for 30 years, 40 years, sometimes even beyond your death. So people have now started, moving out away slightly from litigation, and adopting different means of resolving disputes. So when we speak about this different means of resolving dispute, one is arbitration, and arbitration plays a very, very important and critical role in shipping. People who have worked in shipping would have heard about arbitration definitely, because the shipping industry owners would prefer to get into arbitration rather than getting into litigation, because first of all, the owners are spread across the world. When there is a litigation, the owners are somewhere, and the people who are litigating with them or having an issue with them are from some other country. So which country law will prevail? All those things are there. So there is an arbitration clause that is mentioned, and arbitration is something that is taken care of. Torts is basically a sort of assault, but it may not be physical assault. It may be doing harm to someone in a civil manner. So we're going to speak about negligence, defaming someone. All these things, they fall under neglecting something, defaming somebody, and all of that comes under torts. So how they become applicable to shipping, we will see that. Bills of lading is a document which is very, very important in your shipping, because that is a sort of the receipt, or that is a sort of a proof that your cargo has, transferred or is getting transferred from one place to the other. So bills of lading, but bills of lading act we are going to do, it is just an introduction, and I have, honestly speaking, with due respect to whoever has done this syllabus, I still don't have an idea as to why is this introduction put over here, because when you're actually going to read through it, you will also wonder that, what is this? Is this an introduction, or it is just some gyan, some summary they have given over here about the act? So, but that is there. But since it is there in the syllabus, I don't want to discard it. So in whatever good way we'll be able to do, we will do that. Freight, the most important commercial activity in shipping. What is freight? When goods are getting transferred or transported from port A to port B, the person whose goods are getting transported, he has to pay to the shipping. Now, no, shipping is not sitting here to do charity, right? They want money. So freight, that's the term that is used for the thing. So freight is there. And convention on facilitation of international maritime traffic. Like your road traffic, we also speak about air traffic, congestion in the air. Likewise, there's a lot of congestion in the sea also. But yes, the ocean is, Earth is 70% of water, so oceans are much bigger. But when it comes to closer to the port, when it comes to being closer to the ports, that is the time when congestion starts. Okay? And this congestion that happens, it becomes sometimes very, very difficult to resolve this congestion, and allowing other ships to, otherwise there's a wait period of ships, they're just waiting outside for days together, and they cannot come in, and people cannot disembark, cargo cannot disembark, there would be perishable goods, which are also coming. So all that care has to be taken, and therefore we will be seeing about convention of facilitation on international maritime traffic. So I'm glad that this word convention has come, because a lot of things in your in your shipping laws are based on these conventions. So these conventions are very important. And next year, in the second year, when you're going to do the law of sea transport, it's all about conventions. So everything is done on the basis of, what is discussed in the convention. So that is there. So this is our syllabus that we are going to do. And let us quickly start with, and I aim to finish the law of contract today, because otherwise there are 18 chapters that we have to do, and we have to finish in the next 5 classes, because today's, once the class starts, I assume that it is almost gone or done. So let us very quickly, before I go to this slide, because I don't want to divert your attention on that. So we're starting with the law of contract. So before we speak about contract, I would like to speak a little bit about agreement. Okay. If there is anything that you want to answer, you may please write in the chats, and I will have a look at the chat. That's the way we will save a little bit of time. Okay. So when we speak about agreement, I don't have a car, and I want to go out for 2 days for some office work. But today in this pandemic, there is no mode of transport that is available for me to go. Say I want to go from here to Pune. Okay. but I don't have a car and it's difficult for me to. So I asked my friend, I request my friend that, can you just, lend me your car for 2 days? I will want to quickly go to Pune and come back. And my friend says that, yes, you can take the car, and you tell him that, yes, in 2 days, I will take the car tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. I'm returning back day after tomorrow in the night, but I will send back the car to you. I'll bring back the car to you the subsequent day in the morning. Okay. Now there are two people who have discussed about certain things. One needs something, the other has something. Okay. So one is going to take from someone and one is going to give from someone. Okay. So what is this? And they have both, one has requested and the other has said yes to it. Okay. So what is this? Is this an agreement or is this not an agreement? What do you think? Is this an agreement or not an agreement? You can just quickly write in the chat yes or no.
It will be a verbal agreement which is not enforced by law.
I don't want, enforced by law and all those jargons coming in at this point of time. I only have asked a very simple question, yes or no. All those things we will be speaking later. And like I said, some of you all would have a flavor of law. I'm sure you all have learned, but let us also appreciate that in class there will be people who are completely fresh to the subject. So I don't want at this point of time, I didn't even show the slide because, so yes. So I have got majority of the people saying that yes, it is an agreement, but there are a couple of them who are saying no, until not in writing or not an legal agreement. Somebody has said it is a verbal agreement. If somebody is saying, then there are some people who have simply said that no, it is not an agreement. But this transaction that I spoke about is an agreement. Okay? It's an agreement because one wants to take from someone, other wants to give that, and both are in agreement with that. So I have gone to my friend that I want your car. I will take your car and I will come and I will return it back in 2 days. And my friend has said, yes, you can take the car. Okay. So it is an agreement. There's an agreement between the parties that I will take your car and return it back. And the friend has said, yes, you can take my car. You can use my car for 2 days. So this is an agreement. Okay. You want to invite your friend home for dinner. And you call your friend and you say that, so I'm having this small party and I would like you to be a part of that party. And your friend says, okay, yes, I'm available on this day and I will come for the party. Okay. Is that not an agreement? It is an agreement because your friend has agreed. You have invited, you have sent a proposal and your friend has accepted that proposal. Okay, so there's an agreement. So when in any transaction, if there's a proposal and somebody has accepted that proposal, then it is an agreement. Okay, like I proposing to my friend that I need to take your car for 2 days, and my friend accepting this proposal of mine and giving me the car for 2 days. That is an agreement. Okay. But now the next question is, when I say that, I am inviting my friend over for dinner and I cook for him or her sumptuous dinner and he doesn't turn back or she doesn't turn back, do I have the right to sue this person in the court of law? Can I go to the police station and say that, bhai, I cooked so much, ये आया नहीं बंदा, मेरा सारा पैसा वेस्ट हो गया, बेकार हो गया, मेरा टाइम बर्बाद हो गया? Can I do that? You cannot do that. Okay, that is where the legality of things come into picture. So there can be an agreement which is there, but all agreements don't hold good in the eyes of law. So when we started the class, I said, and I will be repeating this over and over again, until everything is fine, we're not worried whether it is an agreement or it's in contract, it's a sale or it's an agreement to sale. We are going to do all these concepts, and that's why I'm just throwing these concepts. We're not bothered about that until everything is fine. But when things start going wrong, that is the time we need to understand, okay, if this is an agreement, will it it hold good in the court of law? If I have to take this in the court of law, is this going to hold good in the court of law? That is where the question will come. So all agreements may not hold good in the court of law. Okay, but there would be certainly some agreements which would be definitely holding good in the court of law. So, for instance, I want to buy a car, and I understand that this friend of mine has a car who wants to sell the car. Okay, and so I approach him and I tell him that, you know, I learned from other friends of ours that we want to dispose of the car, and I'm looking for a car. I want to buy a car. So would you be interested in selling that to me? What is your cost and all of that? And he says that, see, yes, I want to sell the car. This is the final price that I want. Even if you're my friend, I want you to pay that. And I can give you the delivery of the car in so many days. And both of us agree that, yes, I want to buy the car. He wants to sell the car. I am willing to give him the money. I pay him the money also, maybe some token amount I pay him. And the rest of the amount I'm going to pay him on delivery, or I have paid him the entire amount, or I'm going to pay him the entire amount on delivery. But there is here in this transaction, which we are speaking about, there is an agreement, right? Because there's a proposal and an acceptance, both is there. But there is also a willingness to create a legal bond. Because when you're selling and buying, when somebody is saying that I want this money, I'm going to sell this car for this amount. And when you're saying that, yes, I'm willing to pay this particular car, which is in this particular condition, an X amount, that is the time when you're actually interested in getting into a legal contract. Because what happens in this case, in the previous case that I spoke about, where you approached your friend and you said that you want to sell or dispose of your car, in that situation, not sell, I'm sorry, you want to hire the car. For hire is also wrong. Borrow the car, not even hire, because you're not going to pay him any money. You're just going to borrow the car. At the most, you will fill in the petrol for your own drive that you're going to have. And that person also says, yeah, chal bhai, lekar ja, 2 din kya 3 din rakh de. In that, there is no question of creating a legal bond, because it is just, it's a very sort of an agreement in a very social kind of a manner that has agreed upon. Okay. Now, in this situation, even if the friend on that day says, ki, bhai, I cannot give you the car, yaar, because what has happened, my dad has fallen sick and he's not here, he's somewhere else. I have to go and immediately get him from there. So now I cannot give you the car. Okay? Or this friend of yours takes the car. I go and take the car, take my friend's car, and instead of 2 days, I have to stay 1 more day back in Pune. So I call him that, see, boss, I was supposed to come tonight, but my meeting has extended. I have 1 more meeting tomorrow. I will come back tomorrow night and I will give you the car day after. But this is something, that is socially happening, and there is no intention to create a legal bond or a legal relationship over here. Okay, so there are agreements in which there is no intention to create a legal relationship, and then there are agreements which has an intention to create a legal relationship. Okay, now let us go and move forward and see what happens, or which are the agreements which don't have the intentions of creating legal relationship, and what is this legal relationship, and where will you actually understand that there is an intention of creating a legal relationship. That's something that we are going to now look at. So I have put this in form of a formula, because too much of theory, so sometimes a little bit of objectivity becomes easy to understand. Okay? So when we speak about contracts, so when we spoke about these 2 types of things, one agreement where there's no intention to create a legal relationship, that is just an agreement, purely an agreement. Okay, and where that agreement has an intention to create a legal relationship, that agreement becomes a contract. Okay, so what is a contract? A contract is an agreement which is enforceable by law. We are going to see what is there enforceable by law. It comes later on, as we will be seeing. So hold your horses now for now if you have that question in mind. We're going to see that. But let us see what a contract is first. It is an agreement which has the capacity of being enforceable in law. So the second example that I gave, I want to buy the car from this friend of mine. So there is a price that my friend has quoted, and he said that the car is in this condition. The car is 5 years old, and hence there is a bit of a rusting problem here and there, which you will have to take care of. I am not going to repair that and give you. All I'm giving you is the car in this particular condition, and I want this much amount for you. And you say, I don't mind. I'm willing to take the car in this condition, and I'm willing to pay you that 2 lakhs or 1.5 lakhs or 1 lakh, whatever money. In this kind of a scenario, it is not just an agreement, but it is an agreement which will be enforceable by law, because there is an intention clearly to create a legal relationship. If I don't pay that amount, my friend has the right to terminate this agreement, which is actually a contract, and sell the car to somebody else. Or if I feel, superficially, I felt that the car was in the condition worth paying that 1 lakh of rupees, but tomorrow when I take the car to the mechanic and I find that there is a lot of trouble that the car has, and then I find out that the car was actually not that worth and I have been cheated in the transaction, then I may have the right to go and tap the knock at the doors of the court for this. That is where, when you speak about intention of creating a legal relationship, it's about if things go wrong, what will be the legal remedy that will be available. Like in the example of calling somebody for dinner, there is no legal remedy. If your friend doesn't come, you have to eat the food, you have to distribute it to poor people, you have to give it to your neighbors, or you have to give it to the other guests who have come, but there is no legal remedy. Okay? When you're borrowing the car or you're borrowing the book from someone, you exam times, I don't have notes. You ask your friend to return your book. But if a friend doesn't return it back in good condition, you will have no remedy to go to the court and do it. But where there is a possibility that there is some remedy that you can get from the court, that becomes a contract. So agreement plus enforceability by law is a contract. Now, what is agreement? We have seen, if for an agreement, only two things are necessary. Only two things: proposal, acceptance. Will you come to my house for dinner? That's a proposal. Yes, I will come to your house for dinner. Acceptance. Will you give me a book to study for one day? That's a proposal that has been given by your friend. Yes, I'm willing to give you my book for. That's an acceptance. So when you speak about agreement, there has to be a proposal and an acceptance. Okay. But when it comes to contract, if you see the first formula, contract is equal to agreement plus enforceability by law. So when you come to contract, an agreement is proposal plus acceptance. So then what a contract is? So a contract basically is proposal plus acceptance plus its enforceability by law, or an intention to create legal relationship. That is a contract. So now, all contracts are agreements. Every contract is an agreement, because if there is no proposal or no acceptance, it will not be a contract. Okay. And where there is both proposal and acceptance, it is an agreement. So all agreements will be a contract. All contracts will be an agreement, but all agreements are not contracts, because there are social agreements like we spoke about just now, where there is no enforceability by law, but they are agreements. Okay. So when we speak about contract is equal to proposal plus acceptance plus enforceability by law. Now, when will an agreement become enforceable by law? Or when will it have a legal stand or legal holding? We will see that in the next equation. Enforceability by law is equal to valid proposal, valid acceptance, all that is there. But apart from that, the parties who are entering into the contract should be competent. We are going to learn each of this. There's a separate chapter on proposal, on acceptance, on competencies of parties, free consent, consideration, agreement not void. We are going to study each one of this in detail, most of which we are going to study in detail today itself. Okay. But let us just quickly see then what is enforceability by law. Enforceability by law is where the parties who are entering into a contract are competent enough, that is, they are adult, they're not of unsound mind, they're not, not insolvent, and all those things that we will see. Okay, that is competent parties. This agreement that has been agreed into has to be agreed into with free consent. We are going to see what a free consent is. That the person who is giving an acceptance is giving an acceptance without any kind of a pressure whatsoever. So free consent, there are 5 things that we have to learn in free consent: undue influence and coercion and mistake and fraud and misrepresentation. Everything falls into this thing of free consent. Okay. So free consent is one very, very essential criteria of enforceability by law. Consideration. What is consideration? I am taking your car for 2 days to Pune for a drive. I will return it back to you after 2 days. Is there any consideration in that? There is no consideration in this. Yeah, so goodwill, if you speak about goodwill, it goes into the social, aspect of it. But when you say I'm buying your car for 2 lakhs of rupees, this 2 lakhs of rupees becomes a consideration. Now this consideration, whether it is enough, not enough, is secondary. I can sell my car, which is 5 lakhs rupees, at 50,000 rupees also. That 50,000 rupees will become consideration in the eyes of law. It is not about, but how 50,000 rupees, that car is of 5 lakhs rupees, so this 50,000 is not a consideration. No, it's my wish. I want to sell the car at 5 lakhs rupees. It's my property. Moreover, it's my property. I want to sell it at 50,000 rupees. This 50,000 rupees will become a consideration. So this money value basically that we are speaking about, that becomes a consideration. Consideration for what? Why am I going to pay this 2 lakhs of rupees or 50 lakhs of rupees or 50,000 of rupees or 5,000 rupees? Why am I paying it? I'm paying it because I'm getting something, right? I'm getting a car. I am getting a horse. Like I said, I wanted to make use of all these examples. I'm getting a house. I am dispatching my cargo. Okay. So that becomes an object. We are getting freight. Freight is the consideration. For what? For the object, that is the cargo that is getting traveled from point A or port A to port B. See, when we are doing commercial law, a lot of times there's a complaint. People say that, we have come to study shipping, but we are not getting enough examples from shipping industry. Don't even expect it, because when you're doing commercial law, when you're doing the law of contract in the initial stages, you first need to understand the concept. Once you understand the concept, then you have to apply it to your shipping industry. So when we start getting into those special contracts that I spoke about, your indemnity and guarantee, bailment and pledge and all that, that is when the shipping will come into consideration, and how majorly all those special contracts play a role in the shipping industry. But here, let us just try to roughly understand the what is a contract and all those things. Okay. So object, there has to be a consideration. I want to give you 2 lakhs of rupees. Yes, I'm ready to take 2 lakhs of rupees. For what? Just like that. Then that is not an agreement that is enforceable by law. If I am not getting anything for that 2 lakhs of rupees and I'm paying 2 lakhs of rupees, the person who's getting that 2 lakhs of rupees will not have any right to go to the court. No, he cannot say she said that she's giving me 2 lakhs of rupees and now she's not giving me. But 2 lakhs of rupees for what she has to give you? Tell us. That is what the court will ask you first. Correct? Tell us, why has she to give you 2 lakhs of rupees? Have you given her anything of the worth of 2 lakhs of rupees? No, I have not given. Then why should it? So any agreement where there is a consideration and an object, there has to be, only then will it become a contract. And last but not the least, agreement not void. We are going to speak about this void, voidable, avoidable, valid, and all that. I think in the next slide only we're going to speak about that. No, but okay. So in a couple of slides next we're going to speak. So that is enforceability of law. I hope you have agreed. You have understood so far. A contract is equal to agreement plus enforceability by law. So there has to be agreement which is proposal plus acceptance. So contract is proposal plus acceptance plus enforceability by law. Now we have defined what is enforceability law by law also, like competent parties, free consent, consideration, object, agreement not void. Let us go to the next slide and define what a contract is then. So a contract is nothing but something in which there is a proposal plus acceptance plus there are competent parties plus there's a free consent, there is a consideration, there is an object, and the agreement is not void. When all these things come together, and all these things have to come together, sometimes you know how it is, we say that out of five features, even if it has about 2 features, it's all right. But for a contract, it is not like that. For a contract to be a contract, all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that we are seeing over here, 6 concepts or 6 words that you're seeing over here, all of them have to be there in that agreement. Only then will that agreement become a contract. Otherwise, it's a mere agreement which is not enforceable by law. I hope you're understanding. I hope there is no difficulty in comprehending this work we have done. Let us know. Okay. An agreement is made up of 2 components, that is proposal and acceptance. A proposal, when accepted, becomes an agreement between both parties. And then they speak about enforceability of law. An agreement becomes a contract only when it is enforceable by law. For an agreement to become enforceable by law, it must satisfy the following conditions. Parties to the contract are competent to contract. There is a consent. Their consent is free. That is free consent we spoke about. There is some consideration that also we spoke about. There is an object of a contract and this consideration, and typically this object has to be lawful. What is a lawful object also we will be seeing when we are doing consideration and object in sometimes later. And the agreement must not have been expressly declared void by law. We will be speaking about void agreements also. Hence, every contract is an agreement, but every agreement is not necessarily a contract. Remember, I said that in the earlier, when we were doing this earlier itself. Okay. Now let us see what is there on the next slide. I just want to quickly have a look. Consideration should be in money form always. Yes, it should be. We will see what the consideration is. Somebody has asked me a question, what is an object? I hope you have understood now what is an object. I have just spoken about it. Ma'am, please repeat the last point is asked by someone, but what was the last point that I spoke about? Which point are you speaking about? Are you speaking about object? Are you speaking about void agreement? Are you speaking about I hope by now this is clear to everybody. If at all there is something that was not clear because there is somebody who said please repeat the next point, when we take this break of 10 minutes, maybe at that time you can speak to me about it. Okay. So I will again repeat the statement that I have been making for some times now. When things are fine, when everything is adhered to, when things are fine, when there is no problem, this thing about whether the contract is valid, it's void, it's voidable, it is, doesn't come into picture. The moment things start going wrong, that is the time when, you have to determine what is the type of contract. Okay, and when you determine what is the type of contract, because you want to see whether that contract will hold good in the eyes of law or not. So now we will see what are the different types of contracts that are available or that are there, and what would be its implications. That is also something that we will be seeing. So let's have a look at them on the basis of validity and enforceability. Okay, let's see the type of contracts on the basis of validity and enforceability. Now there is one contract which is a valid contract. And what is a valid contract? A valid contract is a contract when there's a proposal which is valid, there's an acceptance which is valid, parties are competent to enter into contract, there is a free will by which the parties have entered into a contract, there is a consideration, whether it is enough or not, that's a different story, but there is a consideration. There is an object, there is something for which that consideration is paid. So consideration is in form of money, and object is in form of some article, some sort of asset, something. And the agreement is not void. Okay. This type of an agreement is a valid contract. That's a valid contract. So first and the foremost, the contract is valid. When we speak about a valid contract, the entire, all legalities are in place, and this kind of a contract will be entertained by the court extremely well. Now what happens? So if it's a valid contract, why do you need to actually go to the court? It's a valid contract, right? But if one of the parties has not fulfilled their obligation, okay? So in this car, I have paid the money, but this guy is not giving me only the delivery. Or somewhere he's gone and he sold the car to somebody else. He had promised me to sell the car. He's taken 2 lakhs of rupees from me, and now he's gone and sold the car to somebody else. Contract was valid, but this person has not adhered to his what you call it, his obligation, right? He was obligatory to deliver the car to me, which he's not done. That's the reason why you may have to take a legal course and go to the court and make actions on that. Okay, so that is a valid contract. Now, there is something known as a void contract. Okay? A void contract is basically a contract which doesn't hold good in the eyes of law. I'm just moving a few slides and coming to the slide on void contracts. What kind of contracts are void contracts? Okay. Agreement by minors, it's a void contract. Agreements by person of unsound mind is a void contract. Consideration or objectivity is unlawful, that is a void contract. Agreements induced by mistake is a void contract. Agreement in restraint of marriage, you should not marry. If you marry, I will take away all your property. Okay? Or if you these kind of things, that somewhere someone stopping somebody from getting married and entering into a contract on that basis. Or agreement and restraint of trade. Agreement and restraint of trade. If you want to stop somebody or pay certain consideration to somebody for stopping trade, and then you go to the court that I paid him but he didn't stop trade, that agreement will not hold good in the eyes of law. So don't indulge into that. Agreement and restraint of legal proceedings. I will pay you 5 lakhs rupees if you are going to, whatever suit you have filed against me, just withdraw it and I will pay you 5 lakhs rupees. Okay. That person gives you 5 lakhs rupees and you still continue with the suit. The agreement goes to the court. The court will first find out, why has this person come to the court? So the court will find out that he's come to the court because he wants the earlier suit to be discharged against him because he's paid 5 lakhs of rupees. Now he's paid 5 lakhs of rupees, not in terms of fulfilling the obligation of that discharge of that suit, but in because he doesn't want to get involved. The cost of that suit is 50 lakhs of rupees, but he's saying, I will pay you 5 lakhs in that and let us just get rid of. But you don't, you take that 5 lakh rupees, but you don't discharge the suit. And then he goes to the court because he wants the suit to be discharged. And the court says that we have got no jurisdiction in this because this is not a void agreement at all. Okay, uncertain agreements where there is the conditions are only not certain. That is an void agreement. Wagering agreements, betting, speculations, all those lotteries and all that things, they are also not void agreement. And agreement to do impossible or illegal acts. All these are void agreements. Let me go back to my slide. So typically, in this slide, if the proposal is not valid, if the and we're going to see what is a valid proposal, what is a valid acceptance, and everything, just to give you a sort of think about it. See, essentials. There is a definition of proposal, and then essentials of valid proposal. Definition of acceptance, essentials of valid acceptance. All this is there. So we're going to study each of that in detail. But here, let me only tell you that if the proposal is not valid as per that definition and as per those things, or if the acceptance is not valid, or if the parties are not competent, that is, the parties are minor, they're of unsound mind, those things that we spoke about, then the agreement is void. If the consent is not free, it is done by mistake. I didn't know that my horse had died. It was on the farmhouse. I've entered into an agreement. I didn't know that the horse had died. Actually, I was speaking about, I was talking about another horse. I had 3 horses. I was speaking about my black horse. I thought he wants my black horse, but he actually wanted my blackish brown horse, which had died. And I said that, okay, that horse you can take. And he gave me 5 lakhs of rupees and all. But he wanted the horse which had already died. So by mistake, that agreement was entered into. So that agreement is not a valid agreement. It's a void agreement. Okay. The consideration is not lawful. I am going to smuggle watches from somewhere and I'm going to sell you for this much amount. Okay. Now you have paid me, but I have not given you the watches. If you go to the court also, this agreement will not hold, this contract will not hold good in the eyes of law because the consideration is not lawful. Similarly, if the object is not lawful, it will not be a valid contract. And then, so if all these things are not there, automatically the agreement will become void. Plus, there are other things that we saw also. All these things are there, but it is the agreement in restraint of trade, or the agreement is, in restraint of marriage, or it is in restraint of, legal suit. Then in all those situations also, the agreement will become, it will be a void agreement, and then this will not be a valid contract. So that is what a void agreement is. Give me 1 minute. Sorry. Okay. The next is voidable contract. The word voidable comes from the word avoidable. When do we say, oh, what is avoidable? Something that can be avoided, right? That is avoidable. We put it very simply. So, voidable contract is also something that can be avoided. Okay. Now, when you speak about voidable contract, it is a contract which one of the parties can avoid. So, for instance, like we said about the same example we can take of this horse. So I want to buy a car. Let us stick to our example of this car that we have been talking about right from the beginning. I wanted to buy this car from this particular person, and this particular car he says that this car is in this condition and I will pay you. You have to pay me 2 lakhs of rupees and I will deliver the car to you in this particular day. Now, typically what happens is you are not a mechanic, right? So you may not really know what are the problems in the car. Okay, so I buy the car from you, I give you 2 lakhs of rupees, and then I take the car to the mechanic for some reasons. So I wanted to do something, and then the mechanic finds out a big default in this particular in the engine of or whatever machinery of this car. Okay. Now what happens is uh, I can go back to my friend and I can say that this is this particular there's this particular fault in this car, and I have paid you 2 lakhs rupees because you neither you told me about this thing and neither did I know about this thing. So now what can be done? I can't. This car is not going to be of use for me for more than 3 months or 4 months because it's major thing. Or if I want to still operate this car, I will have to pay around 60,000-70,000 of rupees. In addition, I had taken the car because I thought 2 lakhs of rupees, and that was affordable to me. Okay. So now in this situation, it is on both the parties. But then maybe you come to a consensus and your friend says that okay, even I didn't know about this particular thing that is there in the car. What we will do is I will return you back. You saying that your total cost is going to about 60,000 rupees. What we will do is I will pay you 30. I will pay you back your 30,000 rupees. So it's like a win-win situation for both of us. Uh, so that's 60,000. I pay you 30,000. You put your 30,000, and let the contractor be there. In the sense, you have the car for yourself, and I don't mind selling the car for you now for 1,70,000. But 30,000 you put from yourself. Now it is on you to decide whether you want to avoid this contract or you want to stay by. Okay, you may still say that no, you had said this and this is not really there in the card, so this is something that I don't want to agree to, so I am giving you back your card and you give me back my 2 lakhs of rupees. Or you can say that okay, fine, you're saying 30,000, I would say return me back 40,000. I will comfortably put in 20,000 more and I will get those parts or whatever is there done. So basically it is on one of the parties to decide whether they want to avoid the contract completely or they want to go ahead with the contract, keeping, or doing some modifications in the terms and conditions. Now that is a voidable contract. The void contract, it absolutely doesn't hold good in the eyes of law. But for a voidable contract, it is not so. If the person decides not to avoid the contract, then it will hold good in the eyes of law. Illegal contracts. Illegal contract is where the consideration or the object itself is illegal. Like we spoke about smuggling things or chori ka, somebody's robbed the car and got it and he's selling that car to me. Now the object itself is illegal. So I cannot really expect that, this, the court is anyways not going to, entertain this contract. Can somebody who's, I can hear some disturbance, go on mute, please. The whole court is not going to hold this because the court, if it is proven that the car was a stolen car, it becomes an illegal object itself. So that is where your illegal contract, it will not, illegal contract is a void contract as it is. It will not hold good in the eyes of law. So we are talking about these, validity and enforceability types based on validity and enforceability to assume whether they will hold good in the court of law or not. That is, if you want to make a case out of this, to put it in very simple language, case out of it. If you want to make a suit out of it, if you want to make a pattern and go to the court, approach the court, knock the doors of the court for this particular things. If it's a valid contract, definitely you can go to the court. If it's a voidable contract, also there is an option. It will be void at the instance of one party. Okay, voidable at the instance of one party. But illegal contracts, void contracts, you cannot actually go to the court. The next is unenforceable contract. Okay, there was a contract that you had entered into for a period of 2 years. Now that 2 years is over. After that 2 years is over, that particular contract will become an unenforceable contract because the contract was only for a period of 2 years. So now beyond that, that contract will not be good, will not hold good in the eyes of law. So enforceable. That's based on validity and enforceability. Now there is types of contracts. A contract can be bifurcated in different types based on how they were formed. Okay. So when I asked about about that thing of inviting my friend to for dinner, whether it is a agreement or not, and a lot of people said, or there were some people who said in that that it was just an oral thing, so it is not a contract. But believe me, contract can be oral also. You know, in express contract, there are two types of how you express a contract. Contract can be in writing, contracts can be oral. When you go to buy bread, do you write anything? Do you get a receipt of it? No, right? But if the bread is not proper, you can go back to the shopkeeper and tell him that this bread is, see, it is not eatable, it's not wholesome. When we are going to do the conditions and warranties in the Sale of Goods Act, that is the time when we will speak about all of this. We're going to speak about all of this. But if there is somebody who is buying loaves and loaves of bread because from a wholesaler and then distributing, and then he finds that a batch of you know uh, 5,000 breads were stale, what will he do? He will definitely go into, go to the court, and he's going to knock the doors of the court because his 5,000 makes a lot of money, to him. Now, this contract could have been in writing or it could have been oral. Somebody told some uh, company or some distributor that, I will be taking from you on daily basis 500 breads because that's the spread where I am, people come and 500 people come and buy bread from me every day. So in this kind of cases, it does not necessarily have to be in writing. Now there are some contracts which by law say that writing is necessary. For instance, if you have to buy a house, writing is necessary. Okay. Even when you're buying a car from your friend or someone, there's no written contract. There is only exchange of documents. Then the car becomes on your name and all. But there's no written contract that I will sell you the car and you will buy the car. You just buy the car. But that doesn't mean because there is no written contract, and nothing written on a piece of paper, it's not a contract. It still is a contract. So contract, when you speak about, it can be an express contract wherein it could be written, it could be oral. Okay, that's an express contract where a person has shown his desire to enter into a contract. Where a person has sort of put in showed a desire to make a proposal, and the person who is accepted to whom the proposal is made, he's also made expressed and said that yes. So I go to my friend and I say that I want to buy your car, and my friend says yes, I'm selling it for 2 lakhs of rupees to you. Pay me 2 lakhs of rupees by this date, and I will deliver the car to you. Okay, so there is an expression there, complete expression on which you are selling the car. So there's that's an express contract. Then there is something known as implied contract, where there is no expression. Very, very typical example of an implied contract is you get down from your house, you see an auto rickshaw passing by, you stop the auto rickshaw, you sit into the auto rickshaw, you tell the auto driver that you want to reach a particular place, he drops you at that particular place. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to pay him, right, for the ferry. Now nothing, it was not mentioned, or it was not said that I am dropping you there only if you're going to pay me money. No need to say, because there is an implied contract when you are hiring an auto rickshaw that you have to pay for that ride. That is implied, something that is not said, something that is not written. Okay, something that is not expressed, but there is a contract, that becomes an implied contract. Okay? You have ordered for cake from a particular bakery. This cake goes to somebody else's, your neighbor's house. Your neighbor initially tries to, see that where it is, what to do along. But maybe in your neighbor's house, there is somebody who didn't know whether the cake was ordered or not. They take the cake. They think that, yes, somebody from the house has only ordered the cake. And they also consume that cake. Okay? Now, you had not entered into a contract with the person who has delivered the cake to you, but you have consumed the cake. Now you have consumed the cake. What is your responsibility? Your responsibility is to pay for either you return back the cake to him, or if you have consumed it, pay for that cake. That is what is known as a quasi contract. You had not entered, but certain situations came up wherein you became now a party to that contract. Because you used that thing, so now you have to pay for that. So that is a quasi contract. E-contract, digitally, that is something that has just come new digitally when you enter into a contract. And most of the contracts which are expressed today are all e-contracts. Okay. Now, on the basis of performance of the contract, so when we explain, that's the time perhaps you will understand. Executed contract. I wanted to buy the car from my friend. I have given him 2 lakhs of rupees. He has given me the delivery of the car. What has happened? Both of us have discharged our duties, our obligations. I have given him the money. He's given me the car. That is an executed contract. The contract is a done deal, done and finished. Okay, so that is an executed contract where both the parties have already performed their obligations. Then there is something known as executory contract. Okay? Executory contract is a contract which will happen in the next, happen. It has not happened, it will happen. So I have finished my obligation. I have paid my friend 2 lakhs of rupees, but the car is getting, renovated a little bit. So my friend has told me initially only that I will renovate the car out of that 2 lakhs of rupees that you give me, and I will give you the car or whatever. I'm renovating the car. You have to pay me 2 lakhs of rupees. When the car gets renovated in 15 days, 20 days, I will give you back the money. Now, what has happened over here? One party has discharged his obligation, but the other party is yet to discharge his obligation. Hence, this is known as an executory contract where the obligation will be discharged in future. I have also not paid my friend 2 lakhs of rupees. My friend has also not given me the car. We have decided, I've said that I want to buy your car, but I'm falling little short of that 2 lakhs of rupees. Give me 1 month. My salary will come in the next month on so and so date by the 7th. Once my salary comes on the 7th, I will pay you on the 8th 2 lakhs of rupees, and then you give me the delivery of the car. What happens here? Both the parties have not discharged their obligations. Correct? And hence, it is an executory bilateral contract. So, on this note, types of contract, we go and take a 10 minutes of break and come back, and then we will start with what is a valid proposal, move on to what is a valid acceptance, hopeful to finish consideration, and I don't know about free consent because there are 5 topics, sorry. Let us see what we can complete from this. Okay. So let's take a break of 10 minutes and break. Let's come back to our syllabus again. And I was just trying to see if there are any questions, but I think, people have started putting on their and I don't know if this person was there right from the beginning of the class or not, but I have clearly made a mention to that respect that my initial examples that I am giving now are going to be, just for the understanding of the concepts. It is not difficult for me to use the word vessel instead of a car, but I am not going to go and buy a vessel. So, if I had wanted to really explain in the, in the basic terms for you to understand, and then you have to finally go and make the applicability of it. When we are going to do bigger things, we are going to come to those shipping examples of cars and all that. So yes, in between, wherever I feel I have already made or given examples of cargo and all also. But you'll have to bear with me for a couple of, this thing, at least in 1 or 2 lectures, wherein I'm deliberately not going to bring in any exam or more examples from the shipping industry. So please bear with me for that, because there is a thought process that has gone behind that, and also uh, more than the thought process going behind that, it's also, some of you all, like we say, people from varied, backgrounds are there in this room. 20 years of service to somebody who doesn't know even the meaning of the word shipping till today, because completely a fresher trying to, build in some career and all. After about, 2-3 weeks, after about a week, everybody would have, learned certain aspects of shipping. Some aspects, there would be some background that has, come in, and so they would have learned some jargons from your shipping industry. Okay, so when all that has started happening, that is a time in particular when people will also find it easier to absorb, grasp those words, to correlate with those words. So that's the reason why uh, I would still, I know there is a, even if there is a request, I would still want to, stick on to my examples of cars and horse. And once we grow a little, we mature in this course a little bit, that's the time when we will bring in more examples. And when we are going to do the special contracts act and all, that's the time when automatically more examples of the shipping are going to come. As of now, you have to bear with me, all of you all. So yeah, that's for the one request that I saw. There was also one question, I didn't really understand the question much, but it was about, a valid contract and a written contract and all that. So see, to make it very clear to you, whether it is a written contract or a valid or an oral contract, if it has all the components of a valid contract, that's a valid proposal, a valid acceptance, a lawful object, lawful consideration, the parties who are entering into the contract are competent enough, there's a free consent, and the agreement is not void. In these cases, even if the agreement is an oral agreement, it is an agreement, or it is a contract rather. Okay, even if it's an oral contract, it's a contract, it's a valid contract. Even if it's an oral contract, a written contract, it's a valid contract. So just don't go about, whether that only written contract will be a valid contract. That's a myth. That's not a reality. Even oral contracts are valid contracts. Okay, so bear that in mind. Don't get confused that only because the agreement was not written, it is not. Some agreements, like if you're buying a house, okay, if you're buying a house, that typically doesn't really come in the commercial acts as such that we are going to study, because the Sale of Goods Act that we are going to study is also about movable property, not about immovable property. But in general, buying a house is also a contract. But for buying a house, by law, uh, it is mandatory that the agreement has to be in writing. One more thing I would like to, mention over here. I may sound rude, but people who are dressed very casually and want to sit very casually, may please shut their videos and sit. If you want to, I'm not saying that I want you to be dressed in suits and boots and all that, but when you're just sitting with some kind of a t-shirt, and then you're putting your feet up and all and sitting, that is not the decorum of the class that I expect. And believe me, you are getting into such an industry which is very, very particular about these things. Ask the people who have worked in this industry for 15 years. So kindly adhere to some basic norms. I understand this is your first class, and I don't want to put you down by saying these things, but we are doing our post graduation now. Even if you're a fresher, we are doing our post graduation now. If we don't learn now, we don't learn. And certain things, because I can see a lot of screens and I can see a lot of people. When I see these things, it doesn't go well with me, honestly speaking. I may be very cool otherwise, but decorums of certain professional things have to be maintained. So if you want to sit like that, kindly switch off your videos and sit. You don't need to show me your face. I don't need to see your face. Please be, that way. If you want that your video is, I like videos to be on, because I get a feeling that I'm talking to someone. Otherwise, I'm talking to walls. So I prefer videos to be on. I love it when videos are on. So I can constantly see Viren, and I can see Khushru, right? Yes, what's your name? Can you unmute yourself and talk? So I can see Mithila now. And it feels...
I'm Roxanne.
Roxanne. Okay, Roxanne. So it feels good, it feels like, yes, then somebody's smiling at something, somebody's not. It feels like I'm talking to the class. But then, like I said, some decorum, please. Otherwise, you can choose to keep your audio, your videos off. Coming back to what I was saying. Yeah, so don't, get into that thing of if it's not an oral, if it's not a written contract, it's not a valid contract. Absolutely wrong. So when we enter into contract with, with people, when we are going to do the bailment, we'll typically take examples of Taylor. I have read, I don't want to give the name, I know for sure who it is now, that we also have a lawyer in the class. Okay? So this lawyer in the class will resonate, will understand sometimes. The lawyer can also give us certain sort of examples and tips, and I would be glad to have that kind of a learning session over here. So typically when we are done, because I'm sure this lawyer has also learned when she has done her LLB, she's also learned, and through all these cars and horse and tailors examples, that to make it very simple. That's the reason why this is. You go to any books of law, right from N.D. Kapoor to any of those authors who have done, they've all given these examples, and it used to be fun learning for us at that point of time. So that's so. So these kind of examples. So that's what I was saying. When we're going to do the bailment, we will be taking examples of Taylor and all. Now we don't write anything, right, with the Taylor. But yet, if it is now Taylor, okay, if it is for one shirt, we may not go and sue the tailor for something. But what happens in a context where there is, a designer is giving, materials or clothes worth lakhs of rupees to the tailor to stitch, and if the tailor has misplaced this thing, what happens? There may not be a oral contract, but just because it is, there may not be a written contract, but just because there is no written contract, the contract is not valid. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm just trying to explain you that contract can be written, it can be oral. Where it is mandatory to have a contract in writing, then yes. Like now, when you want examples from your shipping thing, when you want to send your cargo and all, you have to have that instrument called your bills of lading, or some kind of a receipt which is there to send you to project your relationship or your contract between the cargo owner and the ship owner or the vessel owner. Okay, but otherwise, all contracts may not require a written kind of agreement that is there. But that will definitely not mean that because it is not in writing, the contract is not valid is a myth. That's not right. A contract can be a oral contract also if it has all the other components of a valid proposal, acceptance, consideration, objective, free consent, and your party is competent, and if it is not a valid, it's not a void agreement, then even if it's an oral agreement, it's a valid agreement. Let's move ahead. I can see your hand raised. Can you please put your question in the chat box? I will have a look at it later and answer. Okay, so all this while we kept saying that agreement is a proposal and an acceptance, and proposal plus acceptance plus enforceability by law is a contract. So now let us see what exactly a proposal is. Okay, and when we are going to start with proposal, acceptance and consideration, and then we will be doing free consent, in which we have your coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, mistake. These are some of the things where you will have to mug up your definitions a little bit. Okay, so you have to bear with me for that, because that's how we've all learned. And if you have to write that in the examination, then definitely you have to. Then definitely you will have to do some kind of efforts and learn certain things. So some definitions you will have to learn. So let us look at what is the definition of a proposal. So, and here they have mentioned the section. Even if you don't mention the section, I don't have a problem. Or like I said, when you're going to get a question paper, you will see the question paper itself stating define proposal as per section 2A of the Indian Contracts Act 1872. Solves your problem, makes it easy, simple for you to understand, to write what section it is. So yes, according to section 2A of the Indian Contracts Act 1872, when one person, listen to it very, very carefully, okay? When one person signifies to another his willingness, go on mute, please. Please go on mute. My God, if my video is on, thank God my family is not talking behind, otherwise we'll get to hear all stories. So when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. So let us break it into pieces and then do it. When one person signifies to another, that is, shows. What is to signify is to make some kind of gesture to do something. Okay, signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything. That is, he's agreeing to do something or he's agreeing not to do something. And why he is signifying this willingness or to do or abstain to do something? Because he wants his other person or to obtain the assent of that other person to such act or abstinence. He is said to make a proposal. Coming back to the example of the car. Why am I going and telling my friend that I wanted to borrow your car? I am not just getting into his house, taking his keys and going and taking his car and going, right? I may have that kind of a relationship with him also, okay? But I am not doing that. I'm going and telling him that, friend, I need to borrow your car for 2 days. And why am I going and telling him that? I am going and telling him that because I want him to give his assent. I want him to say that, yes, it is all right. You can go and take my car for 2 days. Okay. Sometimes, so it is about, when you speak about these agreements, it is about being able to, wanting to do something, or sometimes it is also not doing anything. I will go and tell my friend that I want to, if you are, now I have a car, okay, let's just switch the positions. I have a car and I will go and I will tell my friend that if you are willing to buy my car No matter you pay me today or you pay me after, you give a particular period of time. Okay, you can't just keep it hanging. You pay me after 3 months. You pay me on the 30th of September 2021, 3 lakhs of rupees. If you are willing to do that, I will not sell my car to somebody else. Now, what you're doing over here, you're abstaining from doing something. You are not selling your car to somebody else. You're getting my point. So, when is a proposal made? A proposal is made when you want to do something or when you don't want to do something also. But for that, you're making this proposal very simply to take the acceptance of this or assent. Listen to this yes from this other person. I will not take somebody else's cargo if you are willing to send your cargo, that is a container of this size and this weight. I'm having an offer from somebody else also, but because you're my regular customer, my regular client, I will wait for you to fill in that space in my vessel. And if you are willing to, if you send your cargo by so and so time, then I will not accept the cargo from somebody else. Is that example okay from the shipping industry? For somebody, for people who thought that shipping industry examples, I agree with you all. I don't have I absolutely have no issues on giving examples also from shipping industry. But I just think, it's too fresh to start with, bombarding with shipping. So let us go a little slowly. See, later on, we have to go in such a pace that there is going to be no stoppage. Okay? So that is abstaining. So when one person signifies to another, that is, he shows to another his willingness to do something or not to do something, okay, with a view that this other person says, okay, all right, I am with you. Okay? For you to do something or not do to something. This particular showing of interest is known as a proposal. Getting my point? If there are any questions, park them. We will take them. We will take them later. If somebody is not able to log in, they have to contact Irfan sir, not me. I'm not in charge of this admin of letting people inside and outside. So they will have to get in touch with Irfan sir. If you have written that message for Harshada ma'am, it's a different story.
Actually, madam, we are facing some technical issues due to which some of the students are not able to log in. We're trying to resolve it. Soon as it's done, we'll get back to those students here.
So I will continue, because this lecture is anyways recorded. They can have a look at it later.
Sure, man.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So anyone can divert his words. Yes, Sanjeev Tiwari. Sorry, I missed on this. Anyone can divert his words in oral contract. What happens is, we're going to look at all this. Anyone can divert his words is fine. Law is all about interpretation. How you interpret something. Sometimes even your written words are interpreted in a different manner. Okay. So even if somebody diverts his words or something like that, if one is able to prove a point. Okay. Now, for example, this remember I gave this example of bread. Now, in this, what is it that you will divert words? Agar maine bread manga hai, if I have ordered for bread, I've ordered it because I should be able to eat it, right? If it is not wholesome, if the bread has has already become stale, you have given me the shopkeeper has given me a delivery of bread which was expiry of bread which was for yesterday. He's delivered it to me today. All these things can become evidence. Okay. In any case, Mr. Sanjeev, let me tell you, it is not an easy task to prove a point in court. Even if you have a written agreement, there would be a lot of things that come up. You know, how somebody interprets it, how somebody is going to actually consider that writing. So forget about oral, even in written contract also there could be mixing of words. In oral contract, definitely yes, and that's the reason why people enter into written contracts, right? That's the reason why when the stakes are high, in particularly, people will enter into written contract. But tell me, how many such people you know? Now, I'm not giving an example of a vessel, because a vessel would be about some crores in cost, and a car could be about some thousands in cost if it's a second-hand small car. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm not talking about a vessel here. But tell me, how many people do you know who enter into a written contract to buy a second-hand car? But yet we buy cars, right? Orally. Later on, it is transferred into somebody's name, and then all that writing things start. But when we are entering into a contract, it's an oral contract most of the times. So yes, I agree with your point completely that there could be mincing of words. There could be, somebody would say that I didn't mean this and it meant that. But then the person who goes to the court, it will be his duty to prove what it actually meant. And it would lie upon the prudence of the judge to understand and interpret. Okay, so let's move ahead and let us talk about proposals. So yes, we are speaking about proposals. So I'm sure with the example that I have quoted, you will be able to put it in these words and you will be able to understand the meaning of a proposal. Now let us see what is a valid proposal, because that is important. Merely having a proposal may make it an agreement, but in order that it is a valid contract, there has to be a valid proposal. Okay? So essentials of a valid proposal. Offer must be made with an intention to create a legal obligation. So offer in the first case of borrowing a car, there was no intention to create a legal obligation. It was just out of your social contacts, your social relationship, you were entering into that kind of a obligation. Okay, I want to borrow your book. You come over for dinner. Let us go for a movie, and I will book your ticket. You go to the theater, you find your friend, he says that your tickets were all over, and you say that I had 3 hours I had kept for you, now I will sue you. It doesn't happen, no, because there was no intention to create a legal obligation. But where you are going to buy a car and you're now going to become the owner of the car, there is an intention to create a legal obligation. Okay? People go to consumer courts nowadays. A lot of people go to consumer courts for even small things. My toothpaste was not wholesome, so they will sue the company who's made that toothpaste. Okay? So when you're buying the toothpaste, you have an intention to create a legal obligation. Okay, so when you're speaking about a proposal, there is an intention to create a legal obligation, which means now a valid proposal is done, a valid acceptance will be done. There is going to be an object, and there's going to be a consideration also. In proposals which do not have, or which are not made with an intention to create legal obligations, there will often not be a consideration, or there will never be a consideration. There will be an object, but there won't be a consideration. So we have to remember that. The next is statement of intention made during casual conversation is not enough. I want to buy a car. We are all sitting. Party chal rahi hai. We are having drinks. And what do you say? 2 drinks down. That's the terminology that is used typically. I don't know. Which is okay. I know drinking is a taboo. It's just for breaking the monotony and bringing in a little sort of different kind of a feeling. For some, a feel-good factor. Sunday morning, I'm making you all do this. Some of you all would be dying to have some of you all would be dying to have beer in this, warm afternoon also. So anyways, that's just, to make the atmosphere little light. So, we're sitting in in a party, and then there's a conversation happening, and then once one friend says that, yeah, I wanted to buy, I like your car, yaar, kabhi bechne wala hoga na, to pehle mujhe bol. Now, this is basically not a serious proposal. It is just a statement of intention made during a casual conversation. And that is not enough. Now, based on this mere statement of intention, if tomorrow the friend sends the car to somebody else, and I go and I say that I told you, no, that I wanted to buy your car, why did you give it to somebody else? I'm going to sue you now. That will not be a valid proposal only. Because did you come back after the party and tell me that yesterday it was just a casual conversation that we were having, but I am serious and I would like to buy your car, and you tell me what is your cost and I'm willing to. Then that becomes a different thing. But see, all these things, like Sanjeev pointed out, all these things, they need to be proved in the court very well. Half the times why people don't go to the court, because they don't have evidence enough to go to the court. Okay, so these are the things. You need to create evidence. When you're making oral statements, you need to have people around or keep somebody as witness who can come back and say that, yes, this is what has happened. So all those things are very important. Now, offer must be certain and definite and not vague. I will give you an example of a vessel now. A shipping company is having 3 ships sailing to the same destination, but perhaps one is a cargo, one is what you call a passenger, and two are cargos. One is a cargo which has certain amenities to store the product that you are going to sail it. Now, when you are making the proposal has to be certain. I want to send my cargo by vessel number so and so. That is good enough to make it certain. I want to send it on so and so date, and I first want to understand from you whether it is possible to send this material to some port in Russia in 15 days or not. So it should be certain. I have so much tons of cargo and I want to send it on. I want this cargo to sell on the 20th of June. This is the size of my container. This is the product that container has. Does your vessel has the capacity of store this vessel for the 15 days that it is going to take to reach Russia? It has to be certain and definite. I want to send my cargo. Whichever vessel you want to send. That doesn't make the proposal a very strong and a valid proposal. If the proposal has to be valid, it has to be certain and definite and not just vague. I want to buy a vessel. I'm a big, huge owner of a company and I want to buy a vessel. You have 5 vessels. Or you have 5 vessels, you want to sell one of them, but you have not told which vessel you want to sell. I want to sell one of my 5 vessels. That cannot be a proposal. Which vessel do you want to sell? For how much do you want to sell? That is a valid proposal. Offer may be specific or general. It may be a specific offer or it may be a general offer. Just give me 1 minute to an example of a general offer. Can anybody think of an example of a general offer? Otherwise, I am just parking this example and I will talk to you about this later. Sometimes what happens, you are so much full of examples and all. At that particular moment, you may just not, a thought doesn't get into your mind.
Ma'am,
So when
general offer is like offer is to a general public or the whole
Yeah, correct.
Anybody
That is
can
also
apply.
one way,
And
way of
specific
looking at it.
offer is like it is
Correct.
made for a certain
Correct. For a certain person.
person.
Okay, so I am sitting in the class and I am sorry, I'm sitting in a room, boardroom, and there are three people who have come there from three different companies, and I'm asking one particular company that you have this vessel of this particular make. Okay, so if you are planning to give it as a charter, I am willing to take that ship. But if you're making, so that becomes a specific one. If there are three people sitting and you say that I want to get into a charter, charter business of shipping, and any of you, if you all have any ship, please you can give me your vessel. That becomes a general offer you're making to general public. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Sometimes suddenly there's a block that gets created. We are also all human. I hope you will agree. Offer must be communicated to the offer. Now, whether it is in written or oral, it's a different story. But it has to be communicated. Mere man mein tha, I wanted to buy that vessel from you, but you didn't really bother. But did you communicate that to that person? Did you communicate that you want this ship as a director of a company? Did you communicate to the director of the company or the owner of the company who is owning a particular ship, a vessel, that you want to hire that vessel for, under time charter clause? Have you communicated it to him? If you have not communicated, how do you expect him to assume? Right? So it has to be communicated, and not just communicated, not just as a statement of intention. Okay, it should be communicated as a proposal that you have this particular vessel, and I am getting into this charter business. Now my vessel is getting older, and I don't want to buy another vessel. It is on the verge of getting the sort of redundant now, because otherwise I'll have to make a lot of expenses on that vessel. So I don't want to do that. You have a vessel which is fairly new. You have all new amenities on that vessel, and you have those specifications on the vessel, which would be useful for the goods that I ship or transport from one port to the another. So can I take your vessel on charter for a time period? That is how you communicate. It can be oral, it can be written, whatever. But the communication has gone across. Okay? An offer may be conditional. Offer can be conditional. It is not that an offer cannot be conditional. When we see an acceptance, okay, when we see an acceptance has to be unconditional. But a proposal offer can be conditional. So I will tell you how. I have a vessel which I would be using that vessel for my own. I wanted to start my cargo company also, and where I will be taking cargo myself, and I will be operating it as a as a cargo vessel for the time being. But at the time being, I don't have that much of a business, and I have still some time for for making the business. Okay. So there is a conditional proposal that you will make to your to somebody that you know I can give you a vessel for I can charter you my vessel for the period of 1 year, and after which I will want you to give me back the vessel, because that is the time when I want to start my own cargo business, and I will leave my vessel at that particular time. So there could be any condition. This is just a small example that I gave, but proposal could be with condition. I will sell my car to you in case if my brother doesn't take that car. First preference is his, because he's told me several months back or years back. So if my brother is taking that car, then sorry, I will not be able to give you the car. But if that is not the case, then you can take the car. So a proposal may have certain conditions. Okay, when we see acceptance, that's the time we'll see whether Acceptance can also have conditions on it. Okay? Offer must be with a view to obtaining the assent. That's there in the definition, very, very clearly coming to definition, that an offer is made with a view to take the assent or acceptance. We are using the word assent here because we are going to talk about acceptance in the next slide. So here it's all about assent, giving your consent. Assent is nothing but giving your consent. That is what proposal is all about. Okay? If all these components and all these components, okay, like I said before, for all these things that we are going to talk about, it is not that, okay, there is one thing is there. This first one, no, what is this? Offer must be made with an intention to create legal obligation. That is there. Now it has become a valid proposal. No. All these 7 essentials that are mentioned here need to hold good. Only then it will be a valid proposal. Okay. That's about proposal. If there are any questions, you may please put them down in the chat. We will address it. Where there is an offer with no legal consideration, there will be no legal, that will not be a valid offer at all. Okay. So that may just be an example where we spoke about a borrower, the person borrowing the car. That would be that. Okay. Offer to join some firm. Yes, that would come under your service contract. You have left, somebody's left the job because somebody wants to, somebody has given you an offer to join that firm. Now it has to have all these things in the offer. Intention to create legal obligation. Then it should not be just, by the way, yeah, I will give you a job. It has to be a proper offer made. I will give you a job. You will be appointed on this such and such position. Your salary will be so and so. You should be able to join the organization from so and so date. Okay? That is where where it becomes not just a statement of intention, but it becomes or a casual conversation, but it becomes an offer. Of a certain, it has to be certain and definite. All these things have to come. Then yes, your question, I think Kinjal has asked this question. Then your offer to join some firm will be a valid offer. Somebody wants me to explain point 3. Offer must be certain, definite, and not vague. So I'm taking this very simple example of cars again. I have 3 cars. Okay. I wanted to, so one is Maruti, one is Tata Indigo, and the other is i10. I have these 3 cars. Okay. All my cars are white in color. Okay. Now I want to sell the car. Now when I'm selling the car and I say that I want to sell my white car, is it certain and definite when I say I want to sell my white car when all my 3 cars are white? It is not certain, right? It is vague. Which out of the 3 white cars do you want to sell, boss? That will be the question, correct? So that is not a proposal. I want to sell my white car for 2 lakhs of rupees. And whoever comes first with 50,000 as token money, I will sell the car to him. That's not a valid proposal because it's vague. It is not certain and definite. But when I say I want to sell my my Tata Indigo with so and so number, registration number, for so and so cost, it becomes a certain proposal, a definite proposal. Or if I have only one car, if I'm an owner of only one car, then when I say I want to sell my car, that is also certain and definite because I know that, just 1 minute. What? This is my phone. So that is what is a certain and a definite proposal, but not a vague. I hope you have got my point. I cannot really stay on one slide for a longer time. We just have very little time. Okay. The Indian Contract Act 1872 defines acceptance in section 2B as when the person to whom the proposal has been made signifies his assent thereto, the offer is said to be accepted. Thus, the proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. When a person to whom the proposal has been made, so I have told my friend that I wanted to buy your car, or or I have gone and told, I'm running a shipping company and I was running from a very small space, and now I have gone and told someone who has a bigger space that I am willing to pay you rent of so much, and I want you. I heard that you were giving your property on rent. I'm willing to pay you a rent of this much money, and I want to buy your take your property on rent for a period of 3 years until my own premises is coming up, it's getting constructed. Now I have made a proposal to this company, right? Now this company has to come back and tell me that yes, we are willing to give our premises on rent. Okay. Now this assent of this saying of yes is acceptance. Okay. And when there is a valid proposal and when it is substantiated with a valid acceptance, that becomes a promise. This is again a contract. We will be seeing about promise, promisor, and all that later on in our due course. As of now, let us forget the word promise. Let's only stick to what a proposal is, what an acceptance is, and if these both are valid along with all other things, then it will become a contract. Definition of acceptance, simple. If it comes into your paper, quick, whatever, 3-4 marks to mil gaya, 20 marks of question paper you have, when you have a 20 marks of question paper, if you open your book and you see, each of these points are explained. And I would be glad if you write the explanation of all those points, because if you're just going to write this one slide for 20 marks, if you were on my place, how much would you rate? Or what is the kind of marks that you will give?
20.
Again, 20. So yes, if I have not made my expectations clear, you had all the right to say that ma'am, you didn't tell us that there's an explanation in the book which you have to write, right?
Unsaid contract.
Yes, I didn't get you.
It's unsaid. It is.
So yeah, so implied, if you look at
for that.
But if you look at the implicity of it, the implied thing, when it's a 20 marks of question, that is how we have been groomed. We used to have one mark question, and then we used to have 2 marks questions, and then we used to suddenly have 10 marks questions. So we knew that lengthwise also it has to grow and grow and grow. But again, right from the first class, I'm making this point, which I will be repeating in all my 6 classes, and the last class when we are going to do the review of what kind of question paper and all that, I will again make it a point, because it is a 20 marks question, please don't write 20 pages. Please don't write 20 pages. I will not have the energy to read all that. Wherever it is required, only write there. Where it is not required, don't unnecessarily write. So you have these notes with you. You will, when you start looking at the notes, and today is the first class. Several other classes, you will have several instructions you will get, by which you yourself will become, of course, I'm not saying you're immature, don't get me otherwise, but matured enough for this course, this particular examination, because every examination has a different set of, patterns. So I'm talking maturity in terms of this particular course and this particular examination for all of us. You will yourself realize कि कितना लिखना है, कितना करना है. Are these notes really? These notes are this Bible of ours. If somebody has not got it, please collect it from the office. Then we will see, how we have to write. So of course, and when we are going to, over the period when we are going to discuss, we will be talking about each thing, what is really expected from you. And on the last day, like I said, and because I'm continuously saying last day, please don't do that. अभी बीच के 4 lectures तो आना ही नहीं है, because जो कुछ होना है वो last lecture में होना है. Because last lecture में हम paper का format discuss करेंगे. Sorry for those who don't understand Hindi. Like I said, I like to switch in between because to break the monotony for myself also. So don't consider कि अभी, and now we will go in the last class only, because last class will get the importance. Importance is 80% of this book. Because for me, as a paper setter, and I'm sure some of you all have done critical roles of being a faculty somewhere also, you will resonate with me. And the biggest challenge, and I always say this to everybody, the biggest challenge for faculty is to set the paper. And when I have to give 10 questions, or 9 questions, sorry, from this book, 80% of the book is going to be correct, going to be there in that importance. Okay, now from that 80%, you will have to write only 50%, but you don't know what is there, what is not there. So all that is there, all that you will have to have, will be considered. We'll be talking about all of that later. But when I am discussing these points, when I'm giving an explanation to these points, that explanation is also there in the book. You also will have to write an explanation. You cannot just, certain times, you may also find certain examples that are given. And I would like you all to write as many examples as you can. And for me, it is for commercial law, it is completely fine if you write this car and horse and dog example. But for people who are more in alignment with shipping and who can give in or bring in more good examples from the shipping industry, I would be very, very happy to see those also. But yes, every point, if you can explain with an example, that will add a lot of weightage to the answers when you're writing. So essentials of a valid acceptance. Acceptance must be absolute and unconditional. What did we speak about proposal? About proposal, we said that proposal can be conditional, but acceptance cannot be conditional. I will tell you why. I am coming to you and saying that I want, you have space, okay? And I'm running a shipping company. The same example I will give. Now I want, my staff, my work is increasing. My I have now bought more vessels and all of that. But this I'm speaking for my office thing, okay? I'm not speaking by any means for my warehouse or, where I will store my cargo. It's for office. Simple understanding of people, okay? So when I have come to you and I am saying that, I know that you have the space and I want to take 5,000 square feet of your space, and I'm willing to pay you a rent of 5 lakhs every month. And if that is okay to you, I can take your space on rent. Now, if I want to accept with these terms. So I want to say that, yes, I am willing to give you 5,000 square feet of the space that I have in my possession. And for that, I am okay if you give me 5 lakhs of rupees per month. Absolute and unconditional. I will give you 5,000, but I want 10 lakhs of rent. Then that is not an acceptance. Okay, there is a proposal, but that is not an acceptance. Then what will happen? There will be negotiation. And then probably the negotiation, you will come somewhere in between that, teri bhi nahi, meri bhi nahi. I'm okay for 7.5 lakhs of rent. Now that becomes a fresh proposal. The earlier proposal is debarred. That's gone. That will hold no good. Now this will become a proposal that, yes, 5,000 square feet of premises I want to take on rent for 7.5 lakhs. And then there will be acceptance, done deal, 5,000 square feet for 7.5 lakhs from the person who holds the premises. That is the acceptance. Okay, so acceptance has to be absolute. Now, with the same thing, if the person has 10,000 square feet of premises, then demarking it, this is the 5,000 square feet that I will give you, or from the proposal it has to come that this is the 5,000 square feet that I want, and I'm willing to pay you a rent. That is absolute and unconditional acceptance. Please go on mute. Please go on mute. Acceptance must be in prescribed mode. Now, if a proposal is made, there would be some mode of acceptance that has been agreed upon. Okay. So I will wait for you. I want your 5,000 square feet of premises for rent for rupees 5,000. I will wait for an email from you till the 15th of this month. If I don't get that email from you, then I will be free to see some other premises. So then the acceptance has to come by email. I will wait for your phone call. Then the acceptance has to come by phone call. I will wait for your letter, written communication. Then the acceptance has to come by a written communication, which is lettered. That is prescribed mode. Acceptance must be communicated. Now I have gone in search of, and given him this proposal for his place. Now he cannot assume that I know that he's accepted the proposal. He has to communicate it to me that yes, we are okay with the proposal. Tomorrow he will not communicate, and I will assume that, seems he's not interested. What will I do? I will go to somebody else because I want the space desperately. My business is growing. I'm suffering if I don't have. So I go to another space, another place or another person, and I give him the deposit money. And now this person comes back to me, but you had sent me a proposal. But I had sent you a proposal. Where is your acceptance? Have you communicated to me the acceptance? You have to communicate that acceptance to me, no? Only if there is a communication, then there is a valid acceptance. Now that communication has to be in the prescribed mode that we have said in the second point. Okay? Any mode that is oral, written, via email, over the telephone, through a friend, please communicate to me through your broker whether it is all right or not to take this thing on rent. What is the prescribed mode? That has to be agreed upon again. Okay, and if where it is agreed upon, it has to be communicated in that prescribed mode. Acceptance must be given within reasonable time. I have come to you today for the premises, and you have taken 1 year, 6 months to communicate to me. It's not a reasonable time. But this reasonable time, it becomes a little subjective unless there is a condition that is also put that I am willing to take this premises if you are sending me your acceptance by the end of this month. That's the condition. By the end of this month, because proposal can have a condition, right? Acceptance cannot have a condition. Correct? So acceptance must be given within reasonable time. A person who's making a proposal is not going to wait for donkey's years for your acceptance to come. Then you cannot say that because you were going to take this, because you had sent me an offer, I didn't take the offer from somebody else, now I'm going to sue you. No, that is not a valid acceptance, so it cannot be a valid contract. It will not hold good in the eyes of law. You may decide anything, but if you have to go to the court also has to decide. No, they have the power. They have the interpretation of statute. They will interpret it. When did that person give you the proposal? You will ask your counsel, Mr. Counsel, tell us, when did he give you the proposal? So the proposal was given, sir, in 2018. And what have you done with the proposal? Today we are in 2021. No, we thought that, he would come back, or we thought, you thought, no. But if the proposal is made, did you take the first step to communicate? He took the first step to send you a proposal, right? Did you take the first step? And it could be other way around also, okay? It could be the owner of the premises or someone giving you a proposal that I have this 5,000 square feet of place because you're into that business and I see that you're looking for space. Do you want to take my space? And I'm willing to give it on rent for 5 lakhs rupees per month. So then the proposal has come from the owner in this case. Okay, it can come from anybody. The person who initiates and who sends the proposal, sends the offer, he's the one who's made the proposal first. He's made the proposal and then the acceptance has to come. And then I say that, okay, I will communicate today, tomorrow. And then I say that, oh, he gave that premises to somebody else. After 1.5 years, I just wake up and I say, and then I drag him to the court. Court is going to check all this. I may feel that the time was reasonable, not reasonable. Ultimately, what is reasonable or not, what is not reasonable, it will come from the prudent thinking. And then, of course, the person who's gone to the court will have the responsibility or the onus of proving it also. Okay, so acceptance must be given within reasonable time. Acceptance must be given only by the offering. Okay, it must be given only by the offering, which means if I have to give an acceptance that yes, I am willing to give my 5,000 square feet premises to you, I can give it, or somebody from my behalf can give it, but I have to make it in the communication first. When I'm accepting in the prescribed mode, that the communication will come from this particular person. My neighbor cannot say that yes, here he will give you that 5,000 square feet. Don't worry, ho jayega, mil jayega. My neighbor cannot do that. And then I cannot sue you because you didn't give. Because you will say, maine kab bola tha? Did I communicate with you? Did I communicate with you? No, I didn't communicate. No, you didn't communicate. But your best friend said that you will give. But did I give him any power of attorney to communicate this to you? Had I told you that the communication will come from my best friend? No. So I have not given you the acceptance. And acceptance must be made after an offer. Otherwise, actually, that acceptance becomes a proposal. And acceptance has to come only after the offer is made. Otherwise, what are we accepting? If there is no proposal only, what is it that we are accepting? Correct. So acceptance has to come after an offer. These are the essentials of valid acceptance. Before we close, we'll just take on to consideration and then we will close this because it's almost 1 o'clock. According to section 2D, consideration is defined that when at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing, or does or abstains from doing, or promises to do or abstains from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called consideration for the promise. The definition is big. Don't go by it for the understanding because it only conveys one particular point in past, present, and future form. Okay. So just let us look at one tense, and then you will understand the other two tenses automatically. When at the desire of the promiser, so the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing. So here, in this case, again, promiser is a person who is going to make an offer. So I'm going and I'm saying that I'm willing to buy your car for 2 lakhs of rupees. Okay, now 2 lakhs of rupees. That is something that is what is a consideration. Okay, so I have promised. When at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done. So I'm promising. Basically, whom I'm promising is to the person who has the car. Okay, what am I saying? That I am willing to give you 2 lakhs of rupees. So I'm a promisee, and that person who has the car, who's going to take from me, to whom I'm making this promise, is the promiser. So when at the desire of the promiser, now when this person says that, okay, my car is ready for delivery, please give me 2 lakhs of rupees. Okay. So I have gone and paid that 2,000 rupees. Okay. Or somebody has told me that absent from doing. Remember, we took this example of absent from doing. If you pay me 2 lakhs of rupees, by the end of this month, I will not sell the car to somebody else. Okay, that is absence from doing. Okay, so not done. But let us now just only focus on doing, because otherwise you will get thoroughly confused. So when at the desire of the promiser, when the acceptor says that yes, now my car is ready, will you please pay me the 2 lakhs of rupees? When I have done that, when I have paid that 2 lakhs of rupees, I have fulfilled a promise. Okay, I have done an act, or I have fulfilled the promise. This act is called consideration for the promise. Okay, let us look at the rules governing the proper, and then that is all put into past tense. Has done is past tense, then will do is doing. That's present tense. Will do in the future. That is, your future tense. It's all given in different tenses, but the meaning is the same. When at the desire of the promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or absent from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called the consideration for the promise. There are various rules governing the law of consideration. What are these various rules? Consideration must move at the desire of the promiser. So, only when the promiser says that he wants it, a particular thing, that is the time the promisee should give that particular thing. I am giving you 2 lakhs of rupees and keeping now. Okay? फिर देखा जाएगा, I want to buy your car sometimes. But you are giving that 2 lakhs of rupees, फिर देखा जाएगा. Has the promiser, has the person who has the car asked that 2 lakhs of rupees from you? Or has he said that, okay, I'm willing to sell the car to you? No, he's not said, no. So it is not at the desire of the promiser that you have given this 2 lakhs rupees to him. This 2 lakhs rupees has to go to him at his desire. When he says that, yes, I'm willing to sell the car to you if you pay me 2 lakhs of rupees. That is when you pay the 2 lakhs of rupees, it is gone from at the desire of the promiser. So consideration must move at the desire of the promiser, first and foremost. Consideration may move from the promisee or any other person. My sister will pay you 2 lakhs of rupees. Or I will pay you 2 lakhs of rupees, but that 2 lakhs of rupees, instead of me, my sister is paying you. And she's saying that I'm paying on behalf of this person for the car that you're going to put in her name, his name, this whoever. So it can move from the promisee or it can move from any other person, but it has to reach to the promisee. It must be real and not illusory. I will give you the moon, I will give you the stars, I will give you, I will bring in, I will give you a car which was already damaged in accident. Not, it has to be real. It cannot be illusory. Now, there was a question that somebody asked, whether consideration has to be in monetary form. Very often it so happens. Now, when we are speaking about commercial transactions are all about money, mainly about money. So for one person, what is a consideration? that could be an object for somebody else. But somewhere in the entire process, monetary transaction is there. Okay, so consideration must be real or illusory. Consideration may be past, present, or future. I have already paid you 2 lakhs of rupees. You give me the car after 3 months, or I'm paying you this 2 lakhs of rupees and you're giving me the car immediately, or you're giving me the car immediately, but I will be paying you 2 lakhs of rupees after 3 months. Whatever has been agreed between the two parties, it can be past. That's not paste. That's spelling mistake. Sorry, I will change it before I pass on the slides to you. Consideration may be past, present, or future. It must be lawful. Chori ka gadi, and you are selling that to me. And for what? The object of 2 lakhs rupees that I'm giving. Now here, the gadi, for me, that is the consideration. I am giving money, 2 lakhs of rupees. But what am I getting? What is the consideration that I am getting? I'm getting the car. So car also becomes a consideration. For him, the money becomes consideration. But that has to be lawful. If it is chori ka gadi, if you cannot sell the car, how will you sell it to me? How will it be lawful? Okay. It must not be immoral or opposed to public policy. Okay, I am selling you. What are all those drugs? I am selling sex. All that is what? That's immoral, opposed to public policy. That consideration will not be a lawful consideration. Here comes the point. Consideration need not be adequate. So the car is worth rupees 2 lakhs, but the seller is also okay with 50,000, and the buyer has said that okay, if it is for 50,000, I will sell the car. Now, if the seller has agreed for that 50,000, whether the consideration is adequate or not, it is consideration. That is the final consideration. That is where what has come as a consideration in your contract. So when you go to court, now you cannot say that, but the consideration was not enough. It was 2 lakhs of rupees now, and I'm getting only 50,000 rupees. But you had agreed, right? Who had agreed? Who had entered into a contract? You had entered, right? So whether the consideration is now adequate or not adequate is not our concern. Consideration should not be to satisfy past date. I had to pay him 2 lakhs of rupees. Now I'm saying you give me the car, I will pay you 2 lakhs rupees for the car. But you still have to pay that 2 lakhs of rupees, which you had taken as debt before. You cannot say that this 2 lakhs of rupees you adjust against the date. And if you're adjusting that against the date, you have to pay the 2 lakhs of rupees for the car. But that adjustment will not. You have to stick to what you're paying the 2 lakhs of rupees for. Or you had taken debt of 1.5 lakhs and then the car. So you say that 1.5 lakhs from there and 50 lakhs for the car. And then I will pay you 1.5 lakhs, or I will not pay you. Consideration has to be, if it has to be a valid contract, the consideration, the proposal, the acceptance and the consideration all has to be for the same transaction. Getting my point? So these are the essentials of a valid contract. And like I said, sometimes your consideration becomes an object and sometimes object will become your consideration also. Okay. So just don't get too much, sort of this thing. So when you're speaking about consideration, it also includes your object because it is interchangeable. For somebody, a consideration is object, and for somebody else, the object is a consideration. So yes, so free consent I cannot take up now because there are 5 things, 5 definitions, 5 essentials, all that is there, which we will start with the next class. So before we end, we have not yet ended, so I would still want people to be on mute.
Hello. Hi.
Where did you see the definition of where did you see the definition of consideration in the notes? There is no definition of consideration in the notes. I have not seen it. Therefore, you cannot use anything else apart from what is given on the slides. That is not a definition. That is just an explanation that is given to make it simple, like how I explained it to you before we did the consideration. How can we access the supplementary reading material? That you will have to check with your college, whether they're having any e-library now or whatever. So that only your college will be able to give you. How will we be able to complete 18 chapters in 6 classes? We will be able to, Sheena, because that's how the course is done, and that's how we have been doing for now several years. And yes, today, of course, in the first lecture, it always goes a little slowly to get the pulse of the class, and because these are the basics. Once these basics have become firm and strong, then it is not really very difficult to complete. Okay, and that's the reason why I'm also giving you small. What I said, I'm also giving you small tips, in between how you would really want to study and all, because there's a possibility that you may want to start studying or, start making your own notes and things like that. Ocean, you will be required to write definition if it is asked in the question. If it's not asked in the question, then you don't have to write. But typically if you see the past papers of your commercial law, then yes, there are a couple of definitions that you would want to know. I understand, but sometimes some things are explained. All these topics are really appreciable. The fluency in your English is really outstanding. Thank you so much for that feedback. What is applicable use of these particular subjects? Yes, when we are moving forward, Akshay, you will see how we are going to apply all this for our shipping law. How commercial law is going to be applied for our shipping law. We're going to speak about the special contracts, like now special contracts. When we speak, special contracts will have all the elements of your valid contract. Okay, because a special contract is first a contract, and then it has got specific features. Okay. So it needs to have all the essentials of a valid contract. And then it will have some special features, like for instance, indemnity. Now, when we are going to speak about indemnity, when we are going to speak about payment, all this is very, very critical in your shipping law. So when we are going to do these special contracts, we are going to speak more and more about shipping laws and how they are applicable in your shipping transactions. Okay. So when you're going to speak about that, that is the time when you will realize that, oh yes, valid proposal, valid acceptance, consideration, all that, it is correlated to the shipping transaction. Because what is shipping? Why does somebody indulge in shipping activities? Shipping is a commercial activity, you will agree with that? So if it is a commercial activity, there has to be a contract, there has to be an agreement, whether written or oral, that's a different story, but there has to be. And when that is there, then at that particular point of time, all this will become applicable. Please share the slides. Yes, Karanjeet, I will definitely be sharing the slides. As you have said, we should use the definition given on the slides. Yes, preferably definitions given in the slides, because definitions given in a slide, they're straight from the act. Okay, so that is Have we covered any important question topic in view of examination? All that we have covered today is important. Your proposal, acceptance, consideration, all is important. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what is the applicability use of this? Is something that we said. It's a passing percentage. I think it is 50%. But you know, these technical things, no, your college would be able to explain to you better, because I don't want to get into something by, you know, and then something else is decided by college. You all should not come and say tomorrow, but that ma'am said something. These are administrative things, so I don't want to get into that. Hey, why are you not stopping sharing the slide? I can see all at least. Okay. Please, मेरे ऊपर से spotlight कोई हटा सकेगा? Remove spotlight. I can.
Yes, ma'am. I'll remove it.
I'll do that. Yeah, I did that. So I don't. I want to see everybody else. What I'll see my own face over here. And okay. How can we access to? Yeah, that I've answered. Supplementary reading material, you'll have to check with the college. Then I heard about, yeah, how will we get hard copies of the study material, or is there soft copy or only option? I think you all are provided with hard copies, right? Not yet. Soft copies. Soft copies.
Soft copies we got in a mail, ma'am.
You'll have got on your mail.
Yeah.
So that is again a very technical administrative thing. You will have to speak for that with your college. If you have some time, then can you explain Swiss Canal issue of green vessel, law action or indulgence? See, all this will be explained only when the relevant law is explained. Don't run in a manner where unnecessarily I am talking jargons. I hate doing that. Because unless your basics are strong and clear, what is the use? What was this case about? Which law does it pertain to? Does it pertain to any law of this year? Or does it, just because we know certain things? No. See, I mean, it is okay to, you know, for us to have knowledge, because if you're from that industry, we're definitely going to have a lot of knowledge about these things. But you know, we have to also look at the relevance, no? Because otherwise what we are going to do is we are going to talk about all and sundry and not focus on our curriculum. There is a possibility that we are going to speak about this issue somewhere else, or we're not even going to touch that issue because that's not there in our syllabus. In 6 lectures, when people are asking me how are we going to do these 18 topics that we have to do, and then if I have to do something like this, then it is it may not really be doing justice. I will not be doing justice for the syllabus. So no hard copy as per institute. Hard copies are not provided since last year, maybe. Actually want to clear one point regarding contract. When only legal contracts are void, but all void contracts are not illegal. Yes, yes, we will come to that. All illegal contracts are void, but all void contracts are not illegal. Now, what is the meaning of illegal things? An illegal thing is a thing which stands really wrong in the eyes of law. So to put in a very, 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 very simple, you know, cool, any criminal activity done by any criminal, robbery, theft, fraud, if they are done by, you know, agreements are done by this, then they become illegal and then they're void, definitely. But if a minor is entering into an agreement, it's not an illegal agreement. It is not an illegal agreement. It is just that a minor person is not, you know, he is not competent to enter into a contract. Okay, so that therefore the agreement is void. But you cannot say that why as a minor that he's not created any crime by entering into a contract. When you speak about illegality, there is, you know, an element of crime that has come in and that you have entered into a contract. Okay, I think we have taken most of the questions here, and whatever else is there, maybe you can write an email to me. I'm writing my, you can send me a WhatsApp. I'm just writing my coordinates here. I'll give you my, and of course, please, I would entertain WhatsApp messages more because I am also in meetings and like other lectures and almost all the day. So it's like appreciate if you send me a WhatsApp message, and then if I feel that, you know, it is essential to talk, I would definitely not mind talking. But otherwise, we can just discuss it over WhatsApp.
Hello, ma'am. Parth here.
So that is, yes, I heard somebody talking. Oh, direct message. No, I want to send it to everyone. So why is this going as a direct message? Everyone publicly. Somebody sends a direct message.
Hello, ma'am. Parth here. So
Yes.
at the beginning, I was not able to join in due to some technical issues.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know, did I miss out on your part, like your introduction, like what exactly are you into?
Did I miss on that? Okay, so for my introduction, I'm Sonal Satelkar. I come with 20 years of experience in the corporates. For the past about 4 years or 5 years now, I am a human resource consultant. I do management consultancy. I am a self-efficacy coach. That's life coaching I do. I'm a psychometric assessor. And more than that, in my corporate experience, I have an experience of legal, human resource, and business operations. So I am a law graduate. I am a commerce graduate, of course, then a law graduate, and I've done my master's in human resource development. I've been teaching law since 2004 now, undergraduate, postgraduate. I've been teaching at NMIS for the past 3 years now, and that's about me. I don't know what else can I give by introduction. Not received your contact, yeah, but you know what? Over here, why does it say direct? You know, there's somebody's name that is showing, and then send it to chat.
You have to select the everyone option in chat.
Ma'am, you will have to
Everyone
go to
publicly
the chat.
and directly I have done. And where do I
Go to
say
the
I'm
chat.
in chat? Yes.
Go to the chat option and go upwards. Scroll down upwards. There will be everyone option. You'll have to click that option.
Below that, you need to type a
Okay,
message.
okay, got it. Thank you so much. See if you all have got it. Okay. 9833. 1 minute. 1 minute. My number is wrong. Can I delete that message? No. My number I've typed wrong. 9833.
Ma'am, you can retype it. Retype it.
98339 30945 it is. Okay, 98339 30945. I think that is enough for us to connect. Can we wind up? Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we are going to see each other in the month of.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure.
So I will we have stopped at what topic? We stopped at consideration. We have to start with free consent. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good Sunday ahead. Yeah.
You too, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.